The lights are on at Amzie Miller Field, and the Cougars of New Prairie play host to the Wildcats of Riley High School. That's coming up next on CBM, Cougar Broadcast Media.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Sharing. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
And from Amzie Miller Field and New Prairie High School in New Carlisle, Indiana, this is New Prairie football on the air. Good evening, everybody. It's Brendan King reporting here on CBM Cougar Broadcast Media, getting you set for the New Prairie Cougars taking on the South Bend Riley Wildcats. The Cougars of New Prairie, a record of 4-3, 2-2 here in Northern Indiana North Conference play. On the flip side, the Wildcats of South Bend Riley, identical record, 4-3, but 3-2 in their conference, the Northern Indiana South, and they're coming off a win. Actually, they have won 3 ball games in a row, dating back to 3 weeks ago. They really beat up on South Bend Clay 45-10. Last week, beating Jimtown 14-13. New Prairie coming off a loss 35-7, third place in the Northern Indiana North Conference. Interestingly enough, they're behind both Mishawaka and Penn, and unfortunately for the Cougars, they have lost both games to those both respective teams. They have lost to Mishawaka and now Penn, 35-7 last week, losing to Penn. That was coming off a really nice victory here at Amzie Miller Field over South Bend Adams, beating them 35-14, and their talented quarterback in Ira Armstead. Really, the Cougars defense able to shut that high-powered offense down, but last week against Penn, just could not muster up the same type of offense. Chase Ketterer couldn't get it started, neither could Chris Mays. And unfortunately now for the Cougars, they are without their talented running back Chris Mays, who is out with a separated shoulder. So where does that leave the Cougars is the question. Well, your starting running back is out in Mays. He has provided 931 yards on the ground this year. Looking to the backups, Daniel Tyler will more than likely be the starting running back today. He's averaging just over 43 yards rushing per game. Ian Skornog is actually the backup quarterback. He also runs on the ground, averaging 14 rushing yards a game. So, interesting game. Here we'll see how the Cougars can respond without their talented running back Chris Mays. He was only about 70 yards into 1,000 rushing yards on the year, and he finished well over that last season, was approaching that total this year, but unfortunately tonight the Cougars will be without the services of Chris Mays, facing a pretty talented South Bend Riley team led by their quarterbacks, I should say, Senator Brown and Justin Williams. Both Brown and Williams have thrown for over 400 yards this year. Brown is at 700 yards, completing just over 75% of his passes, averages 15 yards a throw on the year. So the Cougars defense going to have to be ready for a power-packed Wildcats offense. Here on the pregame show, we will send it to New Prairie sophomore Sean Clevenger, who is with assistant coach Bill Gump.
Hi, I'm Sean. This is CGR. I'm here with Coach Gump. So, Coach Gump, what was going through your head when at the 34-yard line, Cade Boniface had attempted to punt a football only to be returned for a touchdown by Nick Hadrick?
Well, obviously we weren't real pleased that the punt got blocked, but what was on my mind was the fact that we had an opportunity to get the ball and get it down the field a little further, and unfortunately it was a low snap, and Cade had a little bit of difficulty fielding it and getting the punt off, and ultimately it got blocked and returned for a score.
What about Penn's defense gave the Cougars such a hard time?
Well, you know what? They did a great job at attacking us at the point of attack. Our offense can be very dangerous if you're going to sit back and kind of let the play develop and then see where our backs are going to run or, where our guards are getting up on linebackers. By the time you figure that out, we're 8 yards down the field. Penn, with their team speed, did a great job at just attacking us at the point of attack. They're getting to the edge real quick and basically just not allowing our guards to get up onto their linebackers.
And although we did give them a hard time, we still suffered the loss. How do you plan on snapping back from that?
Well, you know what? It was the first time we played the team. Not to make any excuses there. Penn is an outstanding team. They're number 3 in 6A for a reason. But I like the chances of us having another opportunity at them next year. Give us another year under our belt, get us in the weight room. I take it as a motivation. We know now where we need to be, and hopefully the kids that'll be returning next year will see that as a challenge for them to get in the weight room, get bigger, faster, and stronger. And next year they'll have to play us here. The fact that we're playing Penn, these kids have already now played them, so there shouldn't be any concerns there. So I like our chances a lot better next year.
All right. Do you feel that you've gained or learned anything from this experience, and do you think it would help you further on down the road, maybe for next year's sectionals or anything like that?
I think it helped us a lot this year, playing that level of competition. Now we can go out there and play lower level competition. That it's not going to expose your weaknesses. Even though it's a loss, we can gain from it. And I think some of the things that we learned coming out of that Penn game that we need to work on. We're making those changes. We're making those improvements. We're finding personnel that can accomplish what our goal is. So I take it as a positive. The one positive that can come out of a loss like that is an opportunity to fix your mistakes and make you better going into the tournament this year.
All right. Thank you, Coach Gump. That was CGR. I'm Sean. Back to you.
Honey, isn't it amazing?
What?
The sacrifice, the dedication, the grit. I mean, they really set an example, don't they?
Oh, well, no question. Today's high school athletes are truly special.
Not the athletes.
Well, who?
The officials.
Oh.
Today's student athletes are truly special. But there's something pretty great about the men and women who officiate their games, too. Like the way they're giving back to their communities. Officiating is a terrific way to stay in shape, meet new people, and stay connected to the game you love. But the biggest reason of all? We need more qualified high school officials here in Indiana. And without them, the rest of us would have a whole lot less to cheer about. High school games need officials. High school sports need you.
Great call, Rob.
Yeah.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
We welcome you back to Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School. I'm Brendan King, getting you set for the South Bend Riley Wildcats taking on the New Prairie Cougars. Currently on CBM, Cougar Broadcast Media, you are watching youth and middle school football players being introduced on the field prior to New Prairie taking the field. So we'd like to bring in our director, producer, teacher at New Prairie. Guy does it all, Matt Florian. Matt, appreciate you having me back, first of all.
Happy to have you here, man. It's good to have a professional here, finally.
Well, to say the least, big game tonight, coming off a loss 35-7 that Sean just told us about with Bill Gum. But the biggest part of it, you lose your starting running back, Chris Mays. Now, a guy that's provided over 900 yards of rushing offense. This is a team that does not throw a lot. Chase Ketterer is really going to have his hands full tonight because he's almost going to have to do it himself.
And that's really you really hit it on the head with that. I mean, last time we saw a game here at Amzie Miller Field, Chris Mays was running angry, 261 yards on the night, and responsible for huge plays against a very competitive Adams team. Couldn't really get it going at Penn, and that obviously, having to suffer an injury like that and being held out. I mean, he's still a leader during practice. He's still a leader during the week, but not having him against a very competitive Riley team is going to be a huge struggle for a New Prairie team that really hasn't explored the second dimension of passing in the offense.
Now, what's a guy like Chase Ketterer, starting quarterback, a guy that gets it done on the ground himself? I mean, the kid runs for over 113 yards per game, 797 yards on the season. What is he going to have to do to fill the void of Mays?
I think obviously the first thing is focus on being the quarterback first. He can't be, thinking about running every single time. He's got to protect himself, because if he's going to be running as hard as Chris is, he's basically going to be trying to do the work of two different people. He's got to protect himself, and he's got to rely on his line even more so than we've seen any time other than this year. He's going to have to trust his offensive line. He's going to have to trust his backups, and he's going to have to start thinking about airing out the ball. And hopefully Coach Russ Radke is going to be dialing up some plays to get the pressure off of Chase Ketterer in the backfield tonight.
Now, Jacob Tuttle is one of the guys that probably is going to be tracked 2 touchdowns on the year. One of the only guys that has caught passes from Chase Ketterer this year. He's got to be on his game tonight, to put it simple.
He does. I mean, defensively, it's the same kind of deal. He's got to rest himself. He's responsible for, I think, 3 interceptions, the only interceptions so far this year for a New Prairie defensive line that's, really kind of starting to gel together at the right time of the year. But he's really got to focus on being open and trying to get past the defenders. It's kind of interesting. As a defender, one of the things he's heard over and over this entire week is we can't let Riley get behind us. Well, he's got to start looking for holes in the defense to get behind Riley all this game if we're going to be competitive through the air.
Now, lastly, taking a look at who just may fill the void of Chris Mays tonight. Now, Chris Mays averages 133 yards on the ground per game. The next closest is Daniel Tyler, just over 43 yards a game. Then the backup quarterback, Ian Skornog. Now, probably Tyler's going to be the guy. Is he ready to take on that challenge?
We're going to have to find out, and he's going to have to figure out very quickly. Both of them are hard-hitting athletes. Both of them are absolutely dedicated and super great people to have, obviously, in the to have on the field at any time. They're going to have to really step up. This is the time. This is the perfect time of the season for both of them to say, you know what, the starting running back is set down. We're going to need to step up as best they can.
Both of these clubs looking for their 5th win on the year, both 4-3. New Prairie 2-2 in Northern Indiana North Conference play. South Bend Riley 3-2 in Northern Indiana South Conference play. They have won 3 games in a row. New Prairie coming off a loss 35-7 to Penn. The Cougars have just taken the field here at Amzie Miller Field. So we'll break for one final time before we have kickoff from Amzie Miller Field. Before we break, stay up to date with all the coverage of New Prairie High School from Cougar Broadcast Media by hitting the red subscribe button on YouTube. Watch school events, announcements, interviews, and of course, athletic events on your smartphone, tablet, or computer. Wherever you are from Cougar Broadcast Media, your home for New Prairie Athletics. You're listening to CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
I can't believe we broke Old Man Hennessy's window.
Correction, dude. You broke. I just threw the ball.
This is really bad. What are we gonna do?
We?
Go to the door, ask for the ball back.
Are you serious?
It's my ball, Myrtlebeck.
You're so dead.
I'd run away.
Yeah, to Uruguay.
Kiss your life goodbye. Sorry.
Let's go.
See you, dude. See ya. Remember me and your well.
Nice one. Some friends you are.
Hi.
Hi.
Tell him it was an accident. And we can fix the window. Come on. I'll come with you.
Loyalty. Pass it on.
You go first.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Live from Amzie Miller Field, this is New Prairie Cougars football on the air. Good evening, everybody. It's Brendan King reporting on CBM Cougar Broadcast Media, getting set for the New Prairie Cougars facing off against the South Bend Riley Wildcats. Technically, this is out-of-conference play. South Bend Riley in the Northern Indiana South Conference, New Prairie, and the Northern Indiana North. But these are two teams that are very familiar with one another. Last year took on one another as well, and it's kind of two teams going in a different direction at the moment. South Bend Riley have won their past 3 games. 2 of those, they've scored 45 points against South Bend Washington and South Bend Clay. They beat Jimtown last week, 14-13, and will wrap up the season next week facing John Glenn. New Prairie coming off a loss 35-7 to Penn. Now they have lost to both teams ahead of them in Northern Indiana North Conference play. They have lost to both Penn and Mishawaka. Both of those respective teams are in first and second place. So right now, New Prairie going into their final game next week of the regular season, taking on Elkhart Central. This is a big-time matchup facing a South Bend Riley team with a power-packed offense. New Prairie usually has that same power-packed offense, but they are missing Chris Mays, their starting running back. Matt Florian with me here on Cougar Broadcast Media. We talked about it a little bit in the pregame show. Just what does missing Mays take away from this offense?
261 yards per game. Last game, 900 on the year. I mean, you break it down by simple numbers. He's a playmaker. He's an option. And it's like I mentioned, you know, especially getting in this part of the season, you want to start saving up as much as you can in terms of physicality. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of Chase Ketterer, and he's going to have his hands full in the backfield trying to look for options.
We are getting set. 12 fresh minutes on the clock. We start the first quarter. The kickoff is off. And Daniel Tyler will retrieve for the New Prairie Cougars. Towards the middle left side, breaking towards the 40. This is the guy that's going to have to take over for Chris Mays, who you just said averages almost 140 yards on the ground per game. Tyler is the next closest at just over 43 rushing yards a game. And early on, Tyler with a pretty good kick return.
Nothing better to start out for a running back that's going to have to step up. I mean, really just an energetic start, good return. Great energy.
Here comes Chase Ketterer, starting quarterback for the New Prairie Cougars. Doesn't throw the ball a lot, just 448 passing yards in 7 games this year. It's only 22 out of 31. He gets his work done on the ground, over 113 rushing yards a game. Trips right as Ketterer sends a man in motion. He'll take it himself. This is what Ketterer loves to do as he'll break ahead towards 5 or 6 yards. So Chase Ketterer early on, taking the ball himself with 3 wide receivers bunched up to his right. And Ketterer, look out, this is what he loves to do. He's without his starting runner back, Chris Mays, but Ketterer still with the confidence to take it himself.
Very unusual play call. Not often that New Prairie goes into trips right or left, to be honest. And that's maybe going to be another way that the coaches are going to support the backfield, try and spread out the options, keep the defense guessing.
Tyler in motion. He'll take the handoff to his left. Tyler punching along. Now moving towards the far sideline. Tyler breaking away. He's got a hole. Daniel Tyler down the left sideline. Tyler's at the 10. He's in for the touchdown. Well, that answers that. We were wondering if Daniel Tyler would have the momentum to break through for Chris Mays, and he's in for his second rushing touchdown on the year, 6-0 early.
Right there, 50 yards. That's more than he's averaging per game. He's going to be adding to it all, you know, and that's exactly what he needed. Great start for this young man, stepping into some mighty shoes.
He only had 10 rushes coming into this game all season in 7 games. A guy that has not run a lot, plays on both sides of the ball. As they're on for the extra point, kicking it through the uprights. Nolan Szymanski, 7-0 early. New Prairie with the
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. high school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
It's a quick 7-0 lead for the New Prairie Cougars. Nolan Szymanski will kick off to the South Bend Riley Wildcats. Back to receive for Riley, Jalen Cummings and Jalen Jennings. These are the guys that get it done as they whistle on the kickoff. There's a flag down on the far sideline.
That may be offsides on the Cougars. A little bit too energetic there on the kickoff.
Well, we talked about in the pregame is that would the offense be able to match up against a pretty good South Bend Riley defense? It only took a couple plays for Daniel Tyler to break through. So they will have the kickoff again, back a few. 11:04 to play in the first quarter, quickly 7-0. Just 2 plays so far for the Cougars offense. Chase Ketterer with a quarterback keeper up the middle, and then Daniel Tyler, a jet sweep coming from the right side wide receiver position all the way to the far sideline in for 50 yards. So Szymanski gets another turn. Jennings and Cummings back to receive for the Wildcats as Szymanski, who just hit the extra point, kicks off. The ball is at about the 20 and retrieved by Jalen Cummings. This guy can get a lot done on the ground, and he skips along to the near sideline, almost towards the 50 and tackled out of bounds at about the 47. So the South Bend Riley Wildcats will take over. We will see who is under center, more than likely Senator Brown, but also Justin Williams, the senior, has also played in 5 games, 462 yards in the air. But Senator Brown, wearing number 9 in the white South Bend Riley uniform, the blue pants, they're wearing the pink socks, as I think we talked about South Bend High Schools do the breast cancer awareness, which is great. Everybody on the far sideline and in white are wearing pink socks. And he'll set up in the bullet formation, a high snap. Senator Brown takes it and is short of even the original line of scrimmage. So a solid first play of defense for the Cougars to get Brown after a bad snap.
It's going to be a tough rebound game for New Prairie, especially after basically, one touchdown, after a shutout effort last week at Penn. And against a team that's going to start 2 quarterbacks, they're going to have to be very, very careful.
Brown looking in the air, passes off and complete far sideline to Jalen Jennings. Now, Jennings is the main receiving threat of the Wildcats. That's his 25th catch of the year, just over 430 yards, averages 17 yards a catch, and has scored 4 touchdowns, the most of any Wildcat wide receiver. Look out for Jalen Cummings in the backfield, but Brown wants to air it out, and it's long, looking again for Jennings. So Jennings just caught the short slant play, and Brown tried to air it out, and again, Senator Brown completing over 75% of his passes this year. Jarvis Edison, coach of the South Bend Riley Wildcats, very comfortable with the junior quarterback.
Coach on the near sideline, Coach Jim Swingendorf, one of the fine assistant coaches, immediately on his backfield. That's exactly what he said we cannot do. We cannot let the defenders get behind us because, as you saw, a couple of steps ahead, and that's a touchdown untouched to the end zone for Riley.
Punt is off on 4th down. Daniel Tyler is back, and he's going to be forced back to about the 1. Does it get in the end zone? It does not. So they pick it up at the 1-yard line. And tough field position for Chase Ketterer to take over. They lead 7-0.
Not the offensive start that Riley wanted, but special teams stepped up. They're going to have the New Prairie in the shadow of their own goalposts for their next offensive series.
Great punt by Chris White. White's listed as a wide receiver, out punting. And he gets him back all the way to the 1. So Chase Ketterer has only ran 2 plays. One of them has resulted in a 50-yard touchdown run of Daniel Tyler. They call it a 48-yard punt. 1st and 10 for the Cougars at their own 1. 7-0 they lead, 9:49 to play in the first quarter. Ketterer in the shotgun, and he'll take it towards the middle. Out of the end zone, and Ketterer battles through. to get back to at least maybe the 5 or 6.
Just a little bit of breathing room. That's all they're looking for right now. Open up the playbook, get some more options out there. Good first play in this series.
So Daniel Tyler already has more yards than he averages per game. He averages 43 yards a game on the ground. And he already has over 50 yards of rushing on one play. Ketterer with a man to his left. No wide receivers. And a handoff up the middle is Ian Skornog, another guy that we talked about possibly being in for Chris Mays. Again, the Cougars are without their talented running back, Chris Mays, who is out with a shoulder separation. Mays averages 133 yards on the ground. He has 14 rushing touchdowns this year. And Ian Skornog, the backup quarterback, is going to be relied upon along with Daniel Tyler today. 3rd and 2. Ball on the Cougars 10. Man in motion, that's Jacob Tuttle. Another guy we talked about could be seeing some serious action just to bolster the offense. Man in motion to his right. Picking up the ball is Daniel Tyler. Tyler spins and gets the first down.
Another great run by Dan Tyler, and that's more of what we saw last year, especially with Dan Tyler. Got a few touches late in the season as more of like the power back from the New Prairie offensive unit. Ground and pound for a few 5 or 6 yard gains.
New Prairie back to the bread and butter. No wide receivers. 1st and 10, ball on their own 19. They lead 7-0 with 8:13 to play in the first quarter. In the shotgun, Ketterer. Ketterer looking for a block. Takes it himself towards the middle. Is bombarded by a couple Wildcats. In there first, looking like Gavin Luga. It was Gavin Luga. 5'10 junior, 230-pounder for a linebacker.
That's the hurt train coming and getting Chase Ketterer right there.
Well,
and that's what I have a feeling they're going to meet several times more during this series and the rest of this game.
That's what he has to be prepared for without his star running back.
And again, that's the concern. How much can we beat Chase Ketterer up? Because if
Tyler in motion, Ketterer takes it. Again, Ketterer is hit hard.
If you're Riley's defense, to finish that thought, that's what you want to do. You want to find Chase Ketterer and put him on the ground as much as possible. If you're New Prairie's offense, you want to protect Chase Ketterer as much as possible because he is going to be driving this offense through the rest of the game.
3rd and 3 after another Ketterer run. They'll make a couple subs. And trips right for the second time today. Jacob Tuttle is towards the nearest sideline. Tuttle looking for his first catch. And some motion on the line for New Prairie. Again, 3rd and 3, 6:50 to play in the first quarter. 7-0. The Cougars lead. Ketterer by himself. Man in motion in front of him to his right. And Ketterer will look for a block ahead, needing 3 yards. Ketterer is going to be brought down short, possibly. Again, Gavin Luga is in for the tackle for the Wildcats. Luga averages just over 4 tackles a game, already in for his second, and they're going to mark the Cougars for the first down.
Credit also to, I think that was Tyson Lee, a sophomore coming around the far side. Almost had Chase Ketterer wrapped up in the backfield. Chase really had to fight for that first down. Great effort there by the Wildcat defender.
Luga is approaching the team lead on tackles, currently held by Wakulski, number 52, a senior. But Luga is up to 24 on the year. Run towards the right, Ian Skornog gets his second touch. And breaking through for a couple. Clock ticks under 6 minutes, 7-0. New Prairie after a 2-play first drive resulting in a big touchdown run for Daniel Tyler. 2nd and 5 with 5.5 to play. Ketterer is with Skornog in the backfield, no wide receivers. Already we've seen some different looks, whether it's trips, whether it's a couple wide receivers, as Ketterer takes the handoff from the snap, and he's going to be brought down. Maybe back to the original line of scrimmage.
Exactly what Riley wants to do. put him on the ground and find him. I mean, and they're doing a great job. They're sniffing out the plays, they're finding the ball carrier, and they're doing exactly what they need to do to keep New Prairie's contained on this drive.
Well, they learned their lesson after the first drive. 3rd and 3, so no gain, or not much of a gain at least for Ketterer. One wide receiver up top, one to the right is Ketterer looking for 3. Ketterer is close, and he should be there for a first down.
Like I mentioned in the pregame show, Ketterer is going to have to rely. Ian's Scornog is going to have to rely. Dan Tyler, that front 5 for New Prairie is going to earn their bread and butter today. This has got to be the biggest game of the year for that front 5.
South Bend Riley has won 3 games in a row. New Prairie coming off a loss to Penn last week. Man in motion near the line. Ketterer looking to throw for the first time. Ketterer airs it out, looking, and the pass is complete. Cade Boniface. Big time catch. Boniface gets his first touch. 1st and 10 Cougars in Wildcat territory.
Open up a whole new dimension. Surprise them. Drop back. It's New Prairie, I've noticed, is getting more and more efficient with their passing. They're not trying too many desperation plays. Obviously, they've had a few, but the ones they have, they know where they want everyone to be. Really great, really well drawn up play there for Boniface and for Ketterer.
Ketterer on the year, 23 out of 32 in the air. That's over 72%, but with limited quantities. As Ketterer, with Scornog not even ready, Ketterer's going to break through down the near sideline. Ketterer's going to be in. Ketterer touchdown, 13-0. Ian Scornog was not even ready for the play. Scornog was looking behind him. There is a penalty.
Not sure. It looked like there may have been holding on the back end, but we will see about that in a moment or two.
So Scornog was kind of just standing there. And the penalty is on the defense of South Bend Riley.
Blindside block is the call. That's a new one this year from the IHSAA. The call will stand. It is a touchdown for the Cougars, 13-0.
Wow. Well,
and we'll have to double check what the wording of that one is, but that is a new call. I've never seen that one before.
Yet.
Blindside block.
Yeah. 13-0. Nolan Szymanski on for the extra point, being held by Ian Scornog, who kind of ran the dummy play. If he was kind of just standing and let Ketterer go. Szymanski's kick is up and good, right down the middle. 14-0. Big time lead for the Cougars. Wildcats with the ball in return. You're listening to CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
Like Homer, take it.
Nice going, Spencer. I can't believe we broke Old Man Hennessy's window.
Correction, dude. You broke. I just threw the ball.
This is really bad. What are we gonna do?
We? Go to the door, ask for the ball back.
Are you serious?
It's my ball, Myrtlebeck.
You're so dead. I'd run away.
Yeah, to Uruguay.
Kiss your life goodbye. Sorry.
Let's go.
See you, dude. See ya. Remember me and your well.
Nice one. Some friends you are. Hi.
Hi. Tell him it was an accident. And we can fix the window. Come on. I'll come with you.
Loyalty. Pass it on.
You go first.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Chase Ketterer's 5th rushing touchdown on the year has the Cougars up 14-0 over the South Bend Riley Wildcats. A 2-possession safety net is Luke Ackerson. Sent to kickoff, back to receive for the Wildcats are Cummings and Jennings. And the kick is into the end zone for a touchback. So Senator Brown takes over again, and although the Cougars are up 14-0, Matt, Senator Brown had a couple good looks on that first drive. Thankfully for the Cougars defense, just not able to put together a full effort.
I think 2 or 3 steps away from a 14-7 game easily right now. And you know what? I think it's a warning shot across the Cougars' bow. They've said, hey, you know what? We can do this. We can air it out, and we've got the athletes to make big plays downfield. Be aware of what's coming at you.
So, Senator Brown takes over in the bullet formation. 3 wide receivers to his right, 1 to his left. No handoff up the middle into the hands of Jalen Cummings. So Cummings is their number 1 running back option. Averages just over 10 yards a carry. 1 touchdown on the year. But Cummings is the starting running back. Back to Cummings. Trying to break through for the first down on 2nd and 2. It's going to be close for the first down. And then we'll give it to him. Javier Padilla on the tackle. Gain of 3 for Jalen Cummings. Bullet formation seems to be their bread and butter. Cummings set up behind Senator Brown. 2 wide receivers to his left. Brown takes the snap. Hand off to Cummings. Cummings with a spin and back just ahead of the original line of scrimmage. Maybe a gain of a couple. Cade Boniface, who just had that big catch on the Cougars drive, makes the tackle. 2.5 to play in the first quarter, 14-0. The Cougars lead in a key October matchup between Riley and New Prairie. Brown with the snap on a foggy night. Hand off to Cummings. Cummings breaks through towards the middle. Jacob Tuttle in to tackle him. So Tuttle in for the tackle. Tuttle plays on both sides of the ball and is the number 1 receiving option of the Cougars. 2 minutes, 11 seconds to play in the first quarter, 14-0, and a timeout on the field to be 1st and 10 for the South Bend Riley Wildcats, who are trying to rely on their junior quarterback, Senator Brown, against kind of we keep on seeing these 3-headed monster type teams for the Wildcats. Seems to be Brown, Cummings, and Jennings in terms of quarterback, running back, wide receiver, but touching back on New Prairie tonight without kind of their part of the 3-headed monster, and Chris Mays, who is out with a shoulder separation. But so far, 14-0. Rush Radke has to like the way things are going.
It's a great start for a New Prairie team that really needs a lot of energy. And I shouldn't say needs a lot of energy. They want to build energy going into the sectional season here. And this is where you build up the momentum to take it to the postseason. Obviously, the pairing show is going to be on Sunday here in Indiana. They're going to want to see as much energy and as much honing and polishing out of both these units as in the next couple of games.
Brown in a shotgun. Jennings to his right. He airs it out, looking down the middle. Intended target was Jalen Jennings. Jennings wanted pass interference. Looks like Jacob Tuttle was with him. And Brown just tried to air it out towards about the 25-yard line of the Cougars. But no dice for Senator Brown, who has tried to air it out twice tonight. Both have not been successful. So as Matt said, we're a couple of big-time passes away from a tie game. Senator Brown, handoff up the middle. Jalen Cummings is through for the first down. Again, Jacob Tuttle on the coverage, and Jalen Cummings with speed. And this is the running back that the Cougars going to have to be careful with. This is a guy with 2 100-plus yard carries on the year. And he has the option again. Breaks through for about 5. Clock ticking under 2 minutes. 1:40 to play in the first quarter. 14-0. The Cougars lead thanks to touchdowns from Daniel Tyler and Chase Ketterer. Hurry up offense coming from the Wildcats. Brown with a man to his right. That's Cummings. Looking in the air. Brown looking right. Now towards the middle. Looking for Jennings. The ball is picked off. Daniel Tyler He needed a big game. He has a touchdown and an interception. We're not done with the first quarter.
Talk about this is what I meant by building the energy and really just building up the confidence of these backups. They're really having a great time out there, and that's a huge defensive play there for a New Prairie unit that it needed a big game to step up against this very talented Riley offensive unit.
Well, good news, you have the interception. Bad news, your offense starts on their own 3-yard line. But that is not new to Chase Ketterer. 1st and 10, ball on their own 3, 14-0 after the interception from Senator Brown. Only his second interception on the year and just over 65 passing attempts. As Ian Skornog skips ahead for a couple, it'll be 2nd down. Just a gain of 2 for Skornog. Now 2nd and 8. Clock ticking under a minute. 40 seconds to play in the first quarter. 14-0 Cougars. 2nd and 8. Ketterer with the snap. Ketterer looking for a couple blocks towards his right, and Ketterer stays on his feet, close to the first down. It looks like they're going to give him a fresh set. Clock stops at 30 seconds. Gain of 9 for Ketterer. 20 seconds to play the first quarter. They have the option to probably run one more. Now the clock ticks down towards 10. 1st and 10. Tyler in motion to his left. Ketterer will take it. So the fake handoff, we've seen that play a couple times. Tyler and Ketterer on the read option. That time Ketterer takes it just for a few. But we're done with the first quarter from Amzie Miller Field. It is 14-0 Cougars. Back with the second quarter in a moment on CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
Let's go.
I touched it. I touched the ball before it went out, Coach.
Come on, Alex. The ref did not call that.
You gotta be kidding me, Alex.
It's the championship game. Talk to him, Coach.
I touched it. It's their ball.
Don't foul them when they inbound. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Nice going, Alex. Sorry, Coach.
Alex. Good call.
Sportsmanship. Pass it on.
Red. I touched the man.
Start of the second quarter from Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School. Brennan King with you on CBM Cougar Broadcast Media alongside Matt Florian. Glad to have you with us. New Prairie versus South Bend Riley. The Cougars have the ball. It's 2nd and 9. They just started this drive late in the first quarter at their own 3-yard line. They have flipped field positions. Now moving right to left as Ketterer has the snap. He'll take it from Daniel Tyler, rip it away, and run through the middle. For a couple yards, tackled by Gavin Luga again. And Luga is really impressing here tonight. A guy that only came in 22 tackles in 5 games played. But now he's approaching the team lead, held by Andrew Wikolski. And Luga only averages just over 4 tackles a game. That's his 5th. Chase Ketterer looking for the play from the near sideline. 3rd and 6, clock ticking at 11:20 to play in the second quarter. Ketterer 2 seconds. And then we're going to have a flag. And they delay a game. Or timeout taken. Timeout Cougars right before the play clock finished out. We'll keep it right here on Cougar Broadcast Media. CBM is brought to you by New Prairie Superintendent Dr. Paul White, New Prairie High School Principal Mrs. Jen Sass, New Prairie Athletic Director Mr. Ben Bachman, and by the parents and families of the New Prairie United School Corporation. Cougar Broadcast Media supporting the mission and students of the New Prairie schools. 14-0 early. Just about a minute into the second quarter. It'll be 3rd and 6 for the Cougars. Chase Ketterer with a touchdown. Daniel Tyler with a touchdown. And Matt Florian missing Chris Mays. If you say you're up 14-0 in the second quarter against the Power Pack South Bend Riley team, what's your reaction?
More silence, I think. I mean, that's I think the best possible outcome, best possible first quarter against a very talented Wildcat team. They found some backups. They found, that we do have the ability to move the defense, open up the holes, and really set up really good running lanes for, Dan Tyler. And, how about that defense as well? You can't, Cade Boniface with the takeaway. We're too, I think, it's something that fans are fond of saying, coaches hate hearing, 2 really close plays away from being a tie game right now.
Ketterer on 3rd and 6. Ketterer has some room, and Ketterer breaks 2 to the 34. Nicely done on 3rd and 6. So now Ketterer's closer to getting out of Cougars territory. This drive started on their own 3. Gain of 16 on the play. So Chase Ketterer, now 11 rushing touchdowns this year. Sends Tyler in motion, looking to pass. Ketterer to his right. Ketterer avoiding the pressure. Ketterer near the far sideline. The pass is deflected off the hands of a South Bend Riley defender. Pass intended for Daniel Tyler. So just barely, Chase Ketterer avoids his first interception of the year. Andrew Walkowski in on the coverage. So only the second pass attempt for Ketterer today. The other pass attempt was a big-time play to Cade Boniface, as Ketterer sends a man in motion on the line. Ketterer looking through for a hole, and he won't find one. And Ketterer's going to be taken down by 4 or 5 Wildcats. In there first was Ramon James, 79. And a Wildcat is down at about the 29-yard line. 10:24 to play in the second quarter. 14-0 as a Wildcats player is being attended to at the moment. So we will take a quick break. 14-0. Cougars lead. It'll be 3rd and 10 when we return. You're listening to CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
Honey, isn't it amazing?
What?
The sacrifice, the dedication, the grit. I mean, they really set an example, don't they?
Oh, well, no question. Today's high school athletes are truly special.
Not the athletes.
Well, who?
The officials.
Oh.
Today's student athletes are truly special. But there's something pretty great about the men and women who officiate their games, too. Like the way they're giving back to their communities. Officiating is a terrific way to stay in shape, meet new people, and stay connected to the game you love. But the biggest reason of all? We need more qualified high school officials here in Indiana. And without them, the rest of us would have a whole lot less to cheer about. High school games need officials. High school sports need you.
Great call, Ralph.
Yeah.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
Back with you on 3rd and 10. Chase Ketterer looking to throw. Near the far sideline, Ketterer gets it away, and the pass is off and complete. Short of the first down, but a nice job by Ketterer running towards the far sideline of the Wildcats. Jacob Tuttle with the reception. So Tuttle was the guy we mentioned on the pregame show. possibly in for a big game. His first catch, but Tuttle has also done a really good job tonight defensively, not only with that catch.
Leader on both sides of the ball, absolutely pivotal part of both of these units. He's going to be targeted over and over again for throws, and he's got to be off active defensively for the Cougars throughout the night.
And this is a Cougars team that barely punched, just 8 of them in 7 games. They're on for 4th and 1. Ketterer trying to punch it through. He's in. Ketterer gets the first down, short of midfield, but Ketterer punches through for a first. So again, this is a team that barely punts. Their punter is a wide receiver, Cade Boniface, and he has only punted 8 times, so not looking to punt on 4th and 1. A solid place to go for it with the ball at about the 44 or so in their own end of the field. So they get a fresh set. 1st and 10, 9 minutes to play in the second quarter. They lead by 2 possessions. It's 14-0. Ketterer hands off to Skornog. Skornog threw for a couple. So Skornog, the backup quarterback, acting as the backup running back today. He's had a couple touches, but so far Daniel Tyler has been the workhorse in place of the injured star running back, Chris Mays. Skornog will trot off the field. Daniel Tyler sets up as a wide receiver near sideline. Single coverage on both receivers. Tuttle and Tyler, all of the receivers. Ketterer looking to throw. Complete to Tuttle. Jacob Tuttle, a first down. Jalen Jennings with the tackle of Tuttle. So Jacob Tuttle made his presence known early defensively. Now 2 catches on this drive alone that again started at the end of the first quarter at their own 3. They're skipping along here, pounding through.
And this is one of the best things that Coach Russ Radke wants to do. Keep control of the ball and keep control of the clock. It's still very early in the game, but every single second he can take off, he'll take.
7:45 to play in the second. Ketterer with the ball. Ketterer looking left side. Ketterer stiff arms one, stiff arms another. Down the near sideline. Ketterer's out of bounds. Couple stiff arms pulling out that move.
A leader on both sides, and he's not afraid to throw his weight around. He's a very athletic young man. Also plays basketball here at New Prairie. Absolutely not afraid to put a hand in the face mask of a defender and shove him off and get an extra couple of yards there. Great play by Ketterer.
Ketterer is now well over 800 rushing yards this year and is now well over 2,200 career rushing yards. We were hoping that we would see Chris Mays tonight. He was only 69 yards away from 1,000 rushing yards this year, but I'll have to look for that next week. Flags fly on Ian Skornog's carry, and if that's a penalty on the Cougars, we'll do it again. I think only the second or third flag we've seen tonight. Pretty well disciplined couple quarters so far.
Very clean game so far.
Kind of different than what we saw on our last broadcast when South Bend Adams was here. Quite a few penalties that night.
There was a lot of practice work put in after that game, and it's Coach Russ Radke reminds me a lot of almost like a Bill Belichick at the high school level. He wants perfection, or Nick Saban at the college level. What he wants, and you can see him on the sideline here on the near side with Coach Gum, giving the official a bit of an earful, and he's got to be careful because Coach Radke has drawn a couple of flags in the past for sideline. And they for a sideline, not interference, but unsportsmanlike conduct on the coach. And they're going to want to talk to the head official there on the near sideline as well to get clarification of why the call.
That's Bill Gum, who we heard from on the pregame show. Thanks to Sean Cleffinger for that interview.
Coach Gum, the offensive play caller for the Cougars, he's letting the officials have it, getting clarification on what and where.
Well, this is a bit of delay. It's going to be 1st and 15, 7:31 to play in the second quarter. And I think finally we have some resolution. You see on your screen, Ketterer's by himself in the backfield. Plenty of offensive linemen ready if he wants to take it. And he will. Ketterer skips along. Ketterer, far sideline. Stiff arms one. Ketterer's going to be in for another touchdown. Make that 12 rushing touchdowns this year. Chase Ketterer makes it 20-0.
Stiff arm again to drive himself into the end zone. I mean, and once you get around the corner, the speed, the athleticism, you could say enough about this young man there. But he is, I mean, at the beginning and at the end, a leader and an athlete.
Again, Ketterer is now well over 800 rushing yards this year, well over 2,200 rushing yards for his career, and just punched in his 12th rushing touchdown on the year. Nolan Szymanski is going to be on to try for his third extra point of the night. It's a 3-possession game for the Cougars. Szymanski's kick up down the middle and good. 21-0. 7:07 left to play in the second quarter. We will take a break. South Bend Riley, they need a response and in a hurry. You're listening to CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
Sharing. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life. (21-0) New Prairie. South Bend Riley on their heels on this foggy, crisp Friday night from Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School. Luke Ackerson to kick off. Back for the Wildcats are Jennings and Cummings. They have been unable to get anything started. Jalen Cummings on the kick return. Cummings skips along the left side, far sideline, and Cummings almost broke past the 40, and if he did, he was home free. And again, that brings up another point. Maybe 3 or 4 times tonight, there have been plays that have either gone incomplete or just barely tackled where South Bend Riley could really be in this game.
This is one of those games where fate, luck, whatever you want to call it, the intangibles, if you want the technical or something like that, it's coming into play. A couple of steps, and there's a runaway touchdown. A couple of intercept, just little things that are going right for the Cougars. They need to keep capitalizing.
Junior quarterback Senator Brown looking for answers. And a handoff up the middle to Jalen Cummings. Clock ticks down, under 7 minutes to play in the second quarter. 6:50, 21-0. New Prairie. Both of these clubs looking for their 5th win on the year. New Prairie just trying to stay alive in the Northern Indiana North Conference. Again, they're only 2-2 in conference play, but they have lost to both teams ahead of them. Cummings on the handoff, and he is met by 3 or 4 Cougars. A 27-21 loss to Mishawaka. A 35-7 loss to Penn last week. So, New Prairie looking for life here in conference play. South Bend Riley 3rd place as well in their own conference, the Northern Indiana South. They will meet John Glenn next week. Brown looking to pass. Near sideline, pass complete. Jalen Jennings. And that's the guy they have to get going. Jennings, his 26th catch on the year, 2nd tonight. Jennings averages just over 17 yards a catch, and he leads the team in reception touchdowns with 4. And if they want any chance to get back in this game, that's a guy that's going to have to get going.
And that's a play that they're going to have to keep doing. A couple of quick things. They can't be going for the home run ball every single pass.
Cummings on the carry. Cummings is, as the ball is loose, Cummings battled ahead for a couple, and I think they're going to call him down as he comes up hobbling a little bit.
Great heads-up play there by the defense, but he was down by contact before that ball came out.
They'll give him a 2-yard carry, 2nd and 8, 5.5 to play in the second quarter.
South Bend Riley now in Cougar territory. One of the few times tonight they have been there. An interception thrown by Brown to Daniel Tyler really took away any momentum they had. Passes off and complete. Gabe Johnson, another wide receiver who has racked up the yards this year. 1 touchdown, his 9th catch on the season, first tonight, and Johnson is in on the party. But with short time left to go in the second quarter, Jarvis Edison would like to get at least one here, make it a competitive second half. 3-possession game. Brown on the quarterback keeper. And Brown looking for the first down. He's going to be short.
Very close there. And I was going to say, after that last play, tip the hat to number 52, Kyle Weber. He was in there applying the pressure on Brown, really knocked him down. Got very close to roughing the passer, in my opinion, but that's me.
Well,
involved there as well.
What would be the call in the NFL?
I'm not even going to touch that swamp right now. That is, boy, you talk about a disaster for the NFL, but good thing we're here with Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
And they're going for it. They're
4th
trying
and
to draw
1.
them off.
4th and 1. Cougars packing the line.
Trying the hard count. They couldn't get the draw. They couldn't get the Cougars to jump sufficiently. That'll be a timeout, Wildcats, and that'll be a really good position for the defense of the Cougars to be in.
4th and 1. We'll get to that right after this. Follow Cougar Broadcast Media on social media for updates and events all year long. Find us on Twitter at CBM_NPHS or on YouTube by searching for CBM NPHS today. Matt Florian, got a score update.
I do indeed. Updating scores from around northern Indiana and the IHSAA. Bremen and Jimtown, that score has not been updated, but they are at the Jimmies tonight.
Team that South Bend Riley beat last week.
Exactly. Elkhart Central and Penn tied up at 7 apiece in the first quarter. Glenn and Clay, the battle of the winless right now. That could be an interesting season changer for both those teams. As of the first quarter, it was still scoreless. Mishawaka and Mishawaka-Marion, the battle of Mishawaka. Cavemen lead the Knights 14-7 at the half. Northridge and Concord tied at 14 in the first quarter.
4th and 1. Carry along, it's the big boy. They hand it to their linebacker, Gavin Luga.
The near side says short, the far side says first down.
Well,
and
Luga.
The guys in the Z's are going to figure it out.
Jacob Tuttle and Boniface were there, and they're going to have to measure. So with 4:26 to play, a ginormous moment in this ballgame of did they get the 4th and 1? If they do, it'll be 1st and 10 at about the 37 with a fresh set of downs. If not, it's a turnover, and New Prairie could go up possibly 4 possessions by the end of the first half.
And this is going to be absolutely huge, like you said. I mean, this is going to be what goes into the locker room for both teams.
Here's the measurement.
Sean
He
Kleppinger.
is short. Turnover on downs. Cougar ball.
Not so sure about that spot. Again, I like to play devil's advocate. That's why I teach current events and social studies. But you know what? That play right there, that just shows you not just the offensive line for New Prairie stepping up today, but the defensive line. I mean, how about that? Just getting in there and stuffing a really, really hard run by the Wildcats. And like you said, over on that far sideline, Riley is going to have to start looking at each other and saying, we got to get out of this hole. And I think now it's on the defense. Big stop is called for here if you're the Riley head coach.
Well, Jarvis Edison has a big task here. 21-0 as flags fly on a first down play. Daniel Tyler might have a free play. We'll see. So Tyler is through for 6 or 7.
Illegal procedure will be the call. I was going to, against the Cougars, I wasn't sure about that because both the referee and the back judge, the referee and the umpire threw flags. Wasn't sure if that was offsides or
I think they did call. I think there's 2 separate penalties, Matt.
False start on New Prairie is the signal.
Well, there were two flags, as mentioned. He originally sent false start. Looks like it's just going to be one. 1st and 15. False start in the Cougars.
Net gain of -5 for the offensive unit.
Ball on their own 33, Tyler in motion. Tyler takes the snap. And Tyler is going to break towards the right side.
How about Dan Tyler? I mean, carrying not just the defense, but some of his offensive linemen with him, powering for a good hard 7 or 8 yards there.
So, in your mind, it's 21-0. You're at your own 40. You could go up 4 possessions. Do you try and take that risk, or you just end the first half?
I think you keep it conservative, and I think that's both coaches need to start looking perhaps at the conservative play calls. Like we said, I mentioned earlier, you don't want to go for the home run ball if you're Riley, and if you're New Prairie, just keep chipping away. Keep chipping away at the clock. If you get a couple of first downs, that's ideal. Keep this drive going.
Read option. Ketterer on 2nd down. Only grabs a couple. Might be 3rd and 6. Jalen Cummings and Andrew Walkowski in on the tackle of Ketterer. A couple substitutions for the Cougars. Evan Forg. Actually, coming on and going off is Tyler Graber, just for a hot second. 3rd and 6, indeed. 2:45 to play in the first half. Defense packs the line, no wide receivers for the Cougars as Ketterer looks to pass. They broke away from the line. Ketterer to his left. Ketterer against his own momentum. Ball almost picked off. Chase Ketterer has come in danger of 2 separate interceptions tonight. He did not have an interception coming into this game, but on 2 occasions, there have been tip passes and almost into the hands of South Bend Riley.
You know, we mentioned earlier, like couple of the lucky plays, couple of the lucky calls. Chase Ketterer, like you mentioned, he's been lucky a couple of times, and he cannot force those plays. He can't thread the needle in that kind of situation. He's throwing into double and triple coverage like that. Very, very fortunate that the Wildcats weren't able to pick that off, because that would have been a significant return.
This is only the 9th time that New Prairie is punting in 8 games. Cade Boniface with the punt. It's a line drive punt, ending up at about the 15. Retrieving for the Wildcats is Jalen Jennings. 44-yard punt. So, doesn't see a lot of time, but Cade Boniface kind of has to, you have to always be ready, even though you've only done that 9 times in 8 games.
You have to be ready. I mean, it's just being able to put it downfield and being able to really pin them back, because a really good return. It looked like he was kind of going to let it go, kind of dribble toward the end, and then, you know, Riley was able to scoop it up and now has pretty decent field position. Special teams have been kind of up and down for the Cougars this year.
Well, here's another opportunity for South Bend Riley to get on the board. Senator Brown, against his own momentum, throws. Pass off incomplete. Far sideline, out of bounds. Gabe Johnson, his 2nd catch.
Good heads-up play by Johnson as well, trying to steer towards the far sideline, get out of bounds, stop the clock just for a little bit.
Under 2 minutes, 21-0 Cougars. And we'll see how aggressive Jarvis Edison and Senator Brown are going to be. 3 wide receivers right side, 1 up top, far sideline. Snap is bobbled on the ground. Brown falls on it. Jalen Cummings falls on it. And they're going to stick with it. It will remain Riley ball. But again, how many of those occasions of 50-50 plays have we seen tonight? Just unreal.
It is absolutely just crazy to see how many back and forth lucky plays, unlucky plays. Right now, you got to figure the second half, the way that the first half is going, and I hate to say this as a New Prairie fan, but you got to figure all those breaks are going towards Riley in the second half.
3rd and 17. Brown throws, almost a screen, complete to Chris White. So White makes the catch. He'll be 4th down, under a minute to play in the first half. So
more than likely you get the first half shutout in a game that you just didn't know, quite frankly, how this team was going to come out.
And, I think New Prairie set the tone that, like I said, they're going to carry into the locker room. They've got to build on it in the second half. They cannot allow the Wildcats to get back. And it looks like, Riley's going to bring down the clock as much as possible for this one before they punt it away.
Now, 8 seconds on the play clock. They're going to have to get it off. There's 21 seconds to play. Chris White, punt is off. Daniel Tyler retrieves. Tyler has a free chance to get to the end zone. And he's going to be brought down at the 48. So you get an opportunity, but you're down quickly. 11 seconds to play. More than likely we'll see a knee here. You get a 3-possession halftime lead.
Great energy to bring into the locker room at halftime. And, it's by doing the things that they do well. Couple of pass plays here for New Prairie. Big runs by their running backs, and just an offensive line and a defensive line that's really been dominating a very talented Riley team so far.
Well, they are not in victory formation, so no knee to be taken. But he's got 4 wide receivers with 11 seconds.
Home run ball.
And Ketter's going to run it, just as Matt mentioned, to his left. Ketter's going to have to be tackled here, and he'll be chased out of bounds. 4 seconds to play.
Flag down, and is holding against the Cougars. So another chance, and I think now we might see victory formation. That's the.
My thing is, why risk Ketter?
Exactly.
You already mazes out.
You got to be careful with the backfield.
Because, as tough as it sounds, Ketter's got a mark on his back. They want to get to the quarterback. 10 yards on the hold. Still 4 seconds to play. It's 21-0. But again, you're right. Chase has to be careful because he's got to know that he's the guy. And if something happens,
it's, you know what, New Prairie's got good skill positions. They've got a couple of good starters. But, again, what the coaches and I talked about this week, just informally in the hallways, is keeping the team healthy going into sectionals.
This will be the last play of the half, and Ketterer's looking to pass. Ketterer running towards the near sideline, and he's going to be tackled out of bounds. He's tackled out of bounds, and
no flag there.
No
New Prairie
flag.
faithful calling for it. Ketterer bounces back up, and
that's what I mean, Matt.
Close call.
That's what I mean, Matt. You got to be careful. Well, besides that, 21-0 at half. You just got to be elated with that performance if you're Russ Radke.
Outstanding first half of play for the Cougars, especially bouncing back against a shutout first half last week at Penn. This is exactly the response Coach Russ Radke wants out of his offense. This is what they're going to need going forward into this game.
21-0. Let's send it to halftime. 3-possession lead for the Cougars. You're listening to CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
I can't believe we broke old man Hennessy's window.
Correction, dude. You broke. I just threw the ball.
This is really bad. What are we gonna do?
We? Go to the door, ask for the ball back.
Are you serious?
It's my ball, Myrtlebeck.
You're so dead.
I'd run away. Yeah, to Uruguay.
Kiss your life goodbye. Sorry.
Let's go.
See you, dude. See ya. Remember me and your well.
Nice one. Some friends you are.
Hi. Hi. Tell him it was an accident. And we can fix the window. Come on. I'll come with you.
Loyalty. Pass it on.
You go first.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
The debate about sports specialization by high school athletes continues. Some argue that high school athletes who play one sport all year long have a better chance of landing a lucrative pro contract. But that's simply not true. In fact, 30 of the 32 first-round picks in last year's NFL draft played more than one sport in high school. Of the 32 players drafted, 22 also participated in high school track and field. 19 also played basketball. Some also played baseball and lacrosse. What's the path to success for high school athletes here in Indiana, no matter what their goals might be? Study hard, always do your best, and if you can, play more than one sport in high school. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike one. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike two. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike three. Wow. I'm the greatest pitcher in the world.
Optimism. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Honey, isn't it amazing?
What?
The sacrifice, the dedication, the grit. I mean, they really set an example, don't they?
Oh, well, no question. Today's high school athletes are truly special.
Not the athletes.
Well, who?
The officials.
Oh.
Today's student athletes are truly special. But there's something pretty great about the men and women who officiate their games, too. Like the way they're giving back to their communities. Officiating is a terrific way to stay in shape, meet new people, and stay connected to the game you love. But the biggest reason of all? We need more qualified high school officials here in Indiana. And without them, the rest of us would have a whole lot less to cheer about. High school games need officials. High school sports need you.
Great call, Ralph.
Yeah.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
Welcome back to halftime here at Amzie Miller Field. 21-0 is the lead that the New Prairie Cougars have built over the visiting Wildcats of Riley High School. Each year, the IHSA recognizes outstanding student athletes that excel not just on the playing field, but also in their schools and in their community. As part of our halftime this evening, we're pleased to cover the IHSA's first Mental Attitude Award interview of the 2018-19 school year.
It's time for Beyond the Uniform, where we shine light on this week's IHSAA Mental Attitude Award winner. This student athlete has done an exceptional job demonstrating excellence, not just in... It's time for the Commissioner's Corner, an exclusive weekly update from the IHSAA Commissioner himself, Bobby Cox. Now for the inside scoop on what's happening day to day with the IHSAA. Here's Coach Bob Lovell with Commissioner Bobby Cox.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Bob Lovell, our weekly conversation with the Commissioner of the IHSAA, Bobby Cox.
It's time for Beyond the Uniform, where we shine light on this week's IHSAA Mental Attitude Award winner. This student athlete has done an exceptional job demonstrating excellence, not just in their sport, but also in their school and their community. Now here's Coach Bob Lovell with this week's IHSAA Mental Attitude Award winner.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Bob Lovell. This is our first Mental Attitude Award winner of the year, and certainly we're excited every time we get a chance to talk to these young men and women. The 2018 Mental Attitude Award winner for girls golf goes to Caitlin Skinner from Evansville North High School. And Caitlin, congratulations on this great honor, and congratulations on another state championship for you and your teammates.
Thank you so much.
Coming in to this, you felt good. I mean, you won the championship in 2015 and 16, so I think you have to be confident coming in to the championship this past weekend.
Definitely. We just wanted to make sure that we had the right attitude going in. The whole season, we had one goal, and that was to make it to state and then play our best up there.
Well, I think you did collectively. How did you shoot on the day?
First day, I shot a 76, and then the second day, I shot a 73.
Well, you know what? It's a great way to go out, winning your championship. And then when you hear your name called as the Mental Attitude Award winner, were you prepared for that? Did you think that was a possibility?
I didn't even know I was nominated. No one told me. And I kind of forgot about it because it was like every year we get up there and you hear about it and you're like, oh, that's really cool for that person. But, like, it never really sinks in that, like, you have the chance of receiving that award. And so whenever I was listening, they were describing it, and there's a girl who goes to one of the other schools, and I was like, oh, it's totally her. She's one of my favorite people to play with. And I just, like, was thinking of her, and one of my friends, like, tapped me on the shoulder, and they're like, oh, my God, what if this is you? And I was like, totally not. Like, I probably didn't even get nominated. Like, I didn't know how it worked. And then they said Evansville North, and since I'm the only senior at my school, I was like, wow, that's cool.
Well, it is cool. And to be the only senior on your team and win 3 state championships in 4 years. When did you get started playing golf?
I started when I was 5 years old.
So it and what appears to be singing, vocal work seem to be some of your passions.
Yes, definitely.
So you were you've been part of 3 state championship teams, academic all-state, academic all-city, all-conference, honorable mention, academic all-state. You've medaled in numerous tournaments, National Honor Society, Student Council, Link Crew, Teen Power, Concert Choir, Varsity Choir, One Voice, Spring Musical, Militia Pep Club. Those are just some of the school organizations, not to mention what you do in the community and your volunteer work with Dream Center and Crossroads Affordable Christmas and on and on. How do you find the time to do this?
Definitely time management is something I've learned for the past 4 years. A lot of the organizations I'm involved in have very, like, specific times that we meet, and so it's really easy for me to plan out and figure out when I'm going to do my homework and then go to my meetings. And I've been involved in them since I was in 7th or 8th grade, most of them, and so it's really easy. They just become part of my daily life, and I have fun with them, so it's really easy to fit them in because I want to go to them.
Well, it sounds like you've obviously managed that and managed it well. West Side Nut Club, Youth of the Day, Magna Cum Laude, Honor Roll 6 semesters, Citizenship Award for 6 semesters, Homecoming Court member this past year, ISSMA Vocal State Competition where you've won 2 individual gold ratings, Evansville Junior Golf Association Player of the Year. When you look back at that, you've accomplished an awful lot when you were 5 getting started. Do you ever think you'd have this type of career on and off the golf course?
I mean, definitely not. When I was little, I mean, everyone plays like 1,000 sports when they're little and tries to find the one that they're good at. And I really was attached to golf. And I played soccer and basketball, but I'm on the short side, so it's hard to play those sports. And I found golf was something that I could play with my friends, that I could play with anyone. It wasn't something that I got tired of easily. And it was something that I played in the summer, and I just loved going to tournaments. They made them fun for us. We'd play on the par 3 executive courses around town, and as I got older and I wanted to move up to the big courses, and I had an older sister and her friends to look up to that played too, and so that was just something that I was like, eventually I got to the point where I was like, I want to get to their scores. I want to shoot par like they can, and it intrigued me, I guess. The game intrigued me.
Well, now the decision is where we're headed to college. You're talking about maybe being a teacher, a high school golf course, or a golf teaching professional, and I know you're looking at a number of schools. This will be a difficult decision, will it not?
Definitely. I want to find somewhere where I'm going to be able to play golf because, I mean, that's something I obviously have a big passion for, and I don't really see it exiting my life just so I can go to college. And so there are opportunities for me to play, and I want to take advantage of those when I can. and I just want to find somewhere where I enjoy the campus and the team and just the community there.
I'm certain that you will. I wish you the best. Caitlin Skinner from Evansville North High School, 2018 Girls Golf Mental Attitude Award winner. Caitlin, again, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Sharing. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Honey, isn't it amazing?
What?
The sacrifice, the dedication, the grit. I mean, they really set an example, don't they?
Oh, well, no question. Today's high school athletes are truly special.
Not the athletes.
Well, who?
The officials.
Oh.
Today's student athletes are truly special. But there's something pretty great about the men and women who officiate their games, too. Like the way they're giving back to their communities. Officiating is a terrific way to stay in shape, meet new people, and stay connected to the game you love. But the biggest reason of all? We need more qualified high school officials here in Indiana. And without them, the rest of us would have a whole lot less to cheer about. High school games need officials. High school sports need you.
Great call, Ralph.
Yeah.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
We welcome you back to Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School. Brendan King reporting on CBM's Cougar Broadcast Media. Glad to have you with us as New Prairie taking on South Bend Riley. A 21-0 lead for the Cougars. They got the job done on the ground. Chase Ketterer, a pair of touchdowns on the ground. Now 12 on the year for Ketterer, who in the first half, Ketterer ran for 159 yards on the ground, 18 carries, and Ketterer without his star running back, Chris Mays, who came into this game at 931 rushing yards on the year, was just about 70 yards short of 1,000 on the season. Mays held out of this game due to a separated shoulder. Chase Ketterer needed a big first half, and he showed up exactly for it. But Ketterer almost threw 2 interceptions separate in the first half. A couple tit passes as Ketterer only tried to pass a few times. He only completed 3 passes in the first half, but Ketterer did try to pass a couple more times. There were 2 occasions where those passes were tipped and almost intercepted by the South Bend Riley defense, but still, Ketterer able to get the job done. Ketterer now, as mentioned, with 12 rushing touchdowns on the year. The other rushing touchdown belonged to Daniel Tyler, who is now the starting running back in place of Chris Mays, who is expected to be back next week as the Cougars will take on Elkhart Central. But in his absence, Daniel Tyler today has a rushing touchdown. He also has an interception, and even though New Prairie, they do have the 21-0 lead, Matt Florian and I talked about a lot in the first half is that it could very easily be 21-7, 21-14. It just took a couple of those big-time breaks to go Riley's way. At the end of the day, they did not. We saw an interception. We saw penalties taken by Riley that forced him back. We saw almost a fumble that they were able to fall top on, but they forced a 3rd and 17. So, Matt, in that first half, really, as much as New Prairie played really well, they did get some big-time breaks courtesy of the South Bend Riley offense.
And that's absolutely right. They're going to have to come out knowing that they need to play another fired-up second half to match the first half's energy. I mean, this is exactly the response I mentioned earlier and we'll keep saying throughout the game. This is exactly the response that New Prairie needed after being shut out up until the last, I think, 6 minutes of the game last week at Penn. A touchdown basically in garbage time. This is the great response that Coach Russ Radke needed out of his team this year, and they just have to keep going. They have to keep playing the way that they've been playing. They need to hope that the lucky breaks keep going their way, but they need to watch the long ball because you got to believe that Riley's going to try at least 2 or 3 big plays to start things off.
Well, it's kind of teams that are going in opposite directions. You talked about how New Prairie with the 35-7 loss last week. They have now lost to both teams ahead of them in Northern Indiana North Conference play. Mishawaka and Penn are first and second, respectively, in that conference. Behind them are New Prairie. Now the Cougars have lost to both of those clubs, so the Cougars are really just trying to stay above water right now, trying to stay in that third-place spot. South Bend Riley have won 3 ball games in a row coming in this game. South Bend Washington, South Bend Clay, and Jimtown last week edging them 14-13. But 2 teams going in different directions. South Bend Riley, 3rd place in the Northern Indiana South Conference. And look, 21-0, missing your star quarterback, your star running back. Like, is there any part of the game, maybe the Ketterer almost interceptions, that Russ Radke would like to clean up on the New Prairie side?
I think defensively you got to worry about the long ball. It's like I've said, we're 2 plays away from being at least 21-14 in a much closer game than this one. I still think, honestly, even though it's 3 touchdowns, this is a close game still because Riley has shown they can throw the ball and they can get downfield quickly. I think if I'm Coach Russ Radke, you got to keep sticking to the original game plan. Don't let defensive players get passed by. Don't let the offense get behind them. Keep Chase Ketterer safe and healthy. Make sure you're handing off to Dan Tyler. Make sure you're relying on Cade Boniface on both sides of the ball and spread out some of the love. I think you got to start thinking about protecting your skilled players because remember, this is week 8 of a 9-week season, and then the sectionals are released on Sunday. So you got to believe you got to start thinking about the postseason at some point in this second half.
You talked about the air being a threat for the South Bend Riley Wildcats. They completed 5 passes in that first half. 2 of them belonging to both Jalen Jennings and Gabe Johnson. Jennings, the guy that you kind of thought, okay, 422 receiving yards coming into this game, but Gabe Johnson had only 8 catches coming into this game in 3 games played, so not a ton of time on field for Gabe Johnson. He brought down 2 catches for 10 yards. And then also Chris White, who is their punter as well, brought in 1 catch for 5 yards. So far it's only been Jennings, Johnson, and White, but we know the explosive ability of their running back in Jalen Cummings, who saw a lot of time as well. Cummings, 9 carries, 51 yards. So again, this is a very explosive South Bend Riley offense that just hasn't found that groove yet.
They need to find something. I mean, if you switch sides right now, the things that have been going well for Riley just all season with offense and being able to run and being able to exploit holes. New Prairie's plugging the holes up front. New Prairie's, like, the backers are coming in and breaking up plays that Riley needs to start making. I mean, this is make or break for both of these teams. I think the first half needs to be kind of just washed away and done with in Riley's mind. It's halftime, and now it's the third quarter. You got to get off the mat, and you got to start putting some points on the board, if nothing else. I think Riley needs to just do conservative play calls. They cannot look for the long ball, for the home run ball right away, because we saw a couple of times it ended up with Cade Boniface's hands, and that's not what Riley needs.
Well, their quarterback, Senator Brown, it seems like, just like Ketterer does, he gets a lot of flexibility about what he wants to do on the field. Brown and Ketterer kind of, Brown does have the arm that Ketterer maybe doesn't have as much, but it seems like Jarvis Edison does give Brown a lot of flexibility. Do you kind of, like you said, you look short, look small?
It doesn't take much to get first downs. First downs extend drives. I mean, we've seen a couple of times when they tried running up the middle, stuffed right at the line. I mean, they need to start exploring the options on the side. They maybe do almost what New Prairie's doing, a couple of jet sweeps. It doesn't take a whole lot of yards to keep a drive going. And right now, that's what Riley needs to do. Sustain drives, build drives, and to be frank, build confidence back up in an offensive unit that's kind of a little bit shell-shocked, I think, coming out of the locker room.
It is 21-0. New Prairie leads. This has been your halftime show on CBM Cougar Broadcast Media. We'll be right back with the second half as both teams looking for their 5th win of the year. New Prairie looking to get back above 500 in Northern Indiana North Conference play. Do not go away. Back with the second half in a moment on CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
The debate about sports specialization by high school athletes continues. Some argue that high school athletes who play one sport all year long have a better chance of landing a lucrative pro contract. But that's simply not true. In fact, 30 of the 32 first-round picks in last year's NFL draft played more than one sport in high school. Of the 32 players drafted, 22 also participated in high school track and field. 19 also played basketball. Some also played baseball and lacrosse. What's the path to success for high school athletes here in Indiana, no matter what their goals might be? Study hard, always do your best, and if you can, play more than one sport in high school. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Cougar Broadcast Media with the turned up mic is brought to you by New Prairie Superintendent Dr. Paul White, New Prairie High School Principal Mrs. Jen Sass, New Prairie High School Athletic Director Mr. Ben Bachman, and by the parents and families of the New Prairie United School Corporation. Cougar Broadcast Media, supporting the mission and students of the New Prairie schools. Updating you on scores from around Northern Indiana, the Northern Indiana Conference, and the IHSAA. John Glenn and South Bend Clay, we have not had an update. A battle of, as I mentioned earlier, winless teams so far in this 2018 campaign. It has been a very tough year for the Colonials and for the Falcons. They are at Clay Field today. Still waiting on a score update. We will keep you informed of that. Mishawaka has pulled away from Marion. The Cavemen lead 28-10 in the fourth quarter at Mishawaka Marion today. Plymouth leads Goshen 28-24 in the third quarter. South Bend Adams leads South Bend Washington 14-7 at the half. Elkhart Memorial leads Wawasee 31-20 in the third quarter. Eastside leads Central Noble 18-14 in the half. And Bremen and Gintown knotted up at 21 apiece at halftime. Brendan King with kickoff for the second half.
Thank you, Matt. South Bend Riley retrieves back towards their own end zone. They're on for the kick return. 21-0 New Prairie. As New Prairie will tackle the kick returner, Jalen Cummings. So we're underway in the second half. South Bend Riley only able to complete 5 passes in the first half, and their bread and butter is not the same as New Prairie, as the Cougars will just try and run it up as much as they can. South Bend Riley looked for the pass consistently, only completed 5 of those passes. We'll see what the Riley offense can do. Senator Brown, their quarterback, Jalen Cummings, their running back, and their star wide receiver, Jalen Jennings, will try and attack this deficit. They're down 3 possessions at the start of the second half. 1st and 10, ball on their own 29. 10 seconds taken off the clock on the kick return. And 3 wide receivers will break away from the pack. Closest receiver, Chris White, near sideline. They hand it off up the middle to Cummings with a powerful little burst through the middle. Beg your pardon, it's Kobe Luga. So Luga is the starting running back to start this second half, so it is not Jalen Cummings. Kobe Luga, 5'6" junior, gets it again. Luga through for the first down. So Kobe Luga, who was non-existent in the first half, comes in for half number 2 and gets the Wildcats a first down. Hurry up offense, Senator Brown, another handoff to Luga. Luga this time has to dance around, and it's going to be yanked down. And Luga is back towards the original line of scrimmage. Boniface and Weber in on the tackles. As strictly running plays so far seen from the Wildcats in the second half. They're down 3 possessions, 21-0 as Senator Brown sets up in the shotgun. Sends a man in motion left to right. Here's a little shovel pass and towards the right sideline. Here goes Jalen Cummings, who is headed home to the end zone. Touchdown Wildcats, 21-6. And a very similar first drive that the New Prairie Cougars had at the start of the first half. Remember, the Cougars scored on only 2 plays, and this time the Wildcats score on 4 plays to start their second half. So, tell you what, Kobe Luga comes in for a couple plays, and Jalen Cummings, we know his ability to be explosive.
Only took one big explosive play, and suddenly Riley, it's only 6 points pending the point after touchdown, but that's a huge breath of energy into that Wildcat sideline.
Extra point is up, and it is good. 2-possession game. It is 21-7. 10:32 left to play in the third quarter. We'll see if the Cougars can respond as you are listening to CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
Sharing. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Jalen Cummings, his 6th rushing touchdown on the year. Cummings averages just over 6 yards a carry. Came into this game with 485 rushing yards in 2018, and he has just made it a 2-possession game here at Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School. So for the first time tonight, New Prairie has been scored against as Daniel Tyler on the kick return. Tyler with some room. Tyler down the far sideline. He has some room to get in for the touchdown, but flags are down way back at about the 35, and it looks like the penalty is going to be on the Cougars. But Daniel Tyler
holding on the Cougars, and that's going to be a tough call to have to swallow.
Daniel Tyler already today has a rushing touchdown, an interception, and just about had a kick return touchdown. But that's going to be brought back as 2 flags went flying, and Tyler, boy oh boy, just missed it.
Coach Bill Gum beside himself on the sideline there, because that looked like, if it's the call that I'm thinking on the far side of the field, it was one of those unfortunate and unnecessary blocks. Just an instinctive play that you got to be better than, because it basically negated what would have been bringing all the energy back to this side of the field after that quick Riley touchdown to begin the second half.
Unfortunate, as Chase Ketterer will take over back all the way to zone 25. Ketterer has the rush by himself up the middle and gets a couple. Andrew Walkowski on the tackle. So Daniel Tyler almost had a kick return touchdown. Would have been his first touchdown returning a kick this year. Like to go inside the mind of Bill Gum there. Ketterer in the shotgun. 9:36 to play in the third quarter. Trying to get off the snap. Play clock down to 1. And the snap is taken by Ketterer again. He was marauded by a couple. South Bend Riley Wildcats. And here come the Wildcats, Matt. Just a burst of momentum offensively. They get a couple big stops here against Ketterer. It's still 3rd and 7. Still plenty of time to get back on this drive. But if Riley gets a stop here, they're down 2 possessions with a chance to make it 1.
Huge possession here for New Prairie. Huge defensive stand here for the Wildcats if they can get to it. And this will be a timeout called by the Cougars.
See if Russ Radke can just get his troops back with the focus they had in the first half. During this timeout, stay up to date with all the coverage of New Prairie High School from Cougar Broadcast Media by hitting the red subscribe button on YouTube. Watch school events, announcements, interviews, and, of course, athletic events on your smartphone, tablet, or computer. Wherever you are from Cougar Broadcast Media, your home for New Prairie Athletics. And also, CBM is brought to you by New Prairie Superintendent Dr. Paul White, New Prairie High School Principal Mrs. Jen Sass, New Prairie Athletic Director Mr. Ben Bachman, and by the parents and families of the New Prairie United School Corporation. Cougar Broadcast Media supporting the mission and students of the New Prairie schools. So, an opportunity here for New Prairie to get back in this drive. It's 3rd and 7, ball at their own 28. 21-7 they lead with 8:51 to play in the third quarter. And as Matt just talked about, if Riley gets a stop here, this can kind of be the momentum change of the game. They just scored on a big-time run from Jalen Cummings. As Daniel Tyler's in motion, Ketterer looking to pass, has to get out of the pocket. Ketterer near sideline, here comes the defender, and he's going to be brought down. Out of bounds, Chase Ketterer is going to get sacked. The big defensive stop. And my goodness, we just talked about it. All they had to do was get a stop out of it, but they get a sack. It's going to be 4th down. And Cade Boniface is going to have to punt. Now, this is just a reminder that coming into this game, they only punted 8 times in 7 games. But this is the second punt tonight. Now, 10 punts in 8 games, that still looks pretty good. But you've been forced to punt it twice tonight. Not something the Cougars are used to doing, but it's an absolute bomb from Cade Boniface all the way back to the 30 as the returner Jennings slips up. Jennings trying to work back to his right. Jennings spins and is tackled down at the 35. What a punt by Cade Boniface. His long punt on the year is 46. That is a 42-yard punt from Boniface, 4 yards short of his season high. 6-yard return by Jennings. So Boniface, another really good punt for a guy that plays on now all 3 sides of the ball, I guess, special teams, defensively and offensively. And here come the Wildcats again. Cummings in motion. Brown hands off, another handoff to Jennings the other way. Jennings hops up and is tackled. And a flag flies in on the tackling area. What happened was Brown handed off originally to Cummings on the jet sweep. Going the other way was Jennings. And a tough penalty on the Cougars. Their 6th penalty of the game is a face mask. And the ball is now at midfield, all the way up to the 50. 1st and 10, 7:44 to play in the third quarter. 21-7 New Prairie. They lead by 2 possessions. Jet sweep, Cummings. And a big stop for the New Prairie defense. You had to settle things down there after another big carry. Jennings and Cummings, we talked about them on the pregame show way back when, but they're now beginning to really show how explosive they can be.
And this is exactly what Riley needs to get back in this game. I mean, they're starting to dig out, and you just need to have more of this. You need to have more energy. You need to be doing things well. You need, and let's be honest, a couple of lucky breaks, a couple of calls, a couple of penalties. It's getting Riley back in this game, and Coach Russ Radke has to start looking around saying, we got to change up. We got to make sure we keep the pedal on the gas.
Darting up the middle, spinning and tackles, and another flag. Kobe Luga, who has been excellent in only about 4 carries tonight. Ian Skornog on the tackle, and another flag is down. Holding on the Wildcats, so right when you're about to take over and get all the momentum needed, it's a holding call after the face mask, and they're forced back 10.
Back and forth. I mean, you got to limit the mistakes too. I mean, it's little things done well. It applies to so much in life, but never more than here on a football Friday, especially when you're down. Doing little things well. Discipline.
2nd and 21. Luga is through. Past midfield to the 48. Kobe Luga has been great. He did not have a touch in the first half, but Jarvis Edison has given an opportunity here, and he has not missed it. 5'6" junior.
And just in that play, made 3 defenders whiff completely on that before he finally got contact.
Well, it's just so interesting to see kind of the choppy play here after a really, really, defensively sound first half. This is almost looking at what we saw a couple of weeks back against South Bend Adams in terms of the penalties and going back and forth. Brown in the air, complete to White. White skips Tuttle as defender, and White is tackled hard.
Tuttle on the miss there on the defensive side. And that's exactly what I mentioned. You don't need to go for the home run ball. Just chip away. 12 yards, 15 yards, 8 yards, get a first down, sustain drives, get back in the game. And that's what Riley's doing.
They're in Cougar territory. In the bullet formation, Brown sets up at the 40. Behind him is Kobe Luga again. 2 wide receivers up top, 1 to the right. Brown fakes a pass, up the middle with the run. Brown is past the first down and to the 24.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what they had for a halftime snack, but I want some of that because they are running with their hair on fire. They are running with energy that we didn't see in the first half.
Well,
Riley just flipped the switch, and they are fired up. And I think they realize, you know what, this is make or break time.
Well, this is a team that scored 90 points in 2 games against South Bend Washington and South Bend Clay. They only scored 14 points last week against Jimtown, but this is an offense that can really, really put points on the board. Down by 14. Jalen Cummings near sideline. Cummings is brought out of bounds to about the 15. And really threatening now are the Wildcats. Again, bullet formation for the Wildcats. Quarterback is Brown, running back is Cummings. Another run for Jalen Cummings. Cummings skips a hole. Cummings into the end zone. And the past 2 scores belong to the South Bend Riley Wildcats. Flag is down. Matt, you're saying possibly another hold.
Again, same kind of position, same kind of placement by the referee. Right on that. Even before the play was over almost, turning to the press box here and letting us know it'll be 2nd down. It'll be interesting to see if it'll be from the spot of the penalty, but either way, definitely prevents New Prairie from giving up a play that I think they could have handled that, but a couple of missed defensive assignments, and it's a scamper into the end zone.
Would have been Cummings' 2nd touchdown today. He already has 6 rushing TDs on the year. And only a junior, Jalen Cummings. Also a linebacker for this team. Ball goes all the way back to the 20. 5:06 to play in the 3rd quarter. 21-7 still. And Russ Radke can wipe your forehead. That was close. But the Wildcats still threatening under 5. And a quick tackle and another flag. Again, this is it's the Jackal and Hyde halves here, Matt, is that you play really nice defensively sound first half,
Flag was in the – this will be an interesting call because the speculation is going to be whether or not it was a horse collar because the way that the defender brought it down, but it'll be another holding penalty against Riley. And here's, again, we didn't see – it was a very clean, very well played, not a lot of penalties in the first half. And right now, Riley is just shooting itself in the foot. This is not the direction they need to be going in the red zone.
Again, it's almost looking like the game we saw against South Bend Adams. Very choppy. There's never a clear kind of momentum. You know, both teams putting up points. New Prairie scored 35 points that night. Only allowed 14. Ball now the 30. 2nd and 16. Brown wants to throw. Complete to White, who is tackled near his legs. Brought down by Tyler Graber. So Graber's in for the tackle. Graber's 18th tackle this year. 3rd and 9, clock ticks to 4:15. Third quarter, 21-7 New Prairie. 3 wide receivers, 2 up top, 1 near side. Brown looking to throw. Here comes the rush. Brown is going to get rid of it. Flag is down as Brown threw it out of bounds. Face mask on the defense.
Huge play. Huge penalty.
Second one of the drive. Second face mask penalty of the drive. That's a free 15.
And that'll be an automatic first down because, and suddenly it'll be, I think, unless I'm very seriously off my mark, 1st and goal. Coach Russ Radke having his usual expression of disappointment, not just at the officials, but at his defense on the near sideline.
If you're just joining us, this has been a long drive for the Wildcats. They thought they scored on Jalen Cummings' run right side towards the end zone. That was brought back on a holding call. We have seen 2 face mask penalties on the Cougars on this drive. We've seen 2 holding penalties on the Wildcats, and the ball will move closer to the end zone. Looks like all the way to about the 12.
And I was wrong. It's not going to be 1st and goal because it's at this point it'll be half the distance, as you hear from Steve Wade, the voice of Amzie Miller Field.
Senator Brown sets up with Jalen Cummings. Brown takes it himself, trying to skip towards the left. Spins and is tackled. Big stop.
Big stop at New Prairie's defenders on that last play. They are playing angry. They want that one back because they knew it should be right now 4th and a long conversion for either a field goal or
3:40 to play in the third quarter. 2nd and 10 for the Wildcats. Deep into the Cougars' territory. Send 1 in motion. 2 wide receivers right, 1 up top. Brown, here's another flag. And Brown is going to be stumbled upon by a few Cougars in a very choppy third quarter here, Matt.
And I think this will be a procedural penalty against Riley once again. It looks like either illegal formation or illegal formation. No, it is an illegal formation against the Wildcats.
Goodness gracious.
We've been down in this red zone for Riley right now, I think, at least 2 minutes on the game clock, just the back and forth.
Well, you talked about in the first half, Russ Radke wants to take as much time as he can off the clock. I don't know if it's this way.
This isn't the way he wants to take time off the clock, but you know what? They aren't putting points on the clock on the board, so that's okay for right now. For right now, anyway.
3rd and 14. This is do or die.
And here we go again. We'll discuss this one. Years ago, when I was in college here in South Bend, went to Holy Cross, was in the band, and being a Notre Dame fan, of course, never have anything bad to say about referees or officials in football games. But
of course not.
One of the things we always said was ref ball everywhere. This has been a very ref ball series for Riley and for New Prairie.
Brown sends Cummings in motion to his left. Cummings gets the handoff. Now to Jennings. To Brown. He just missed it. They tried for the pass from Jennings to Brown. It didn't work. They're going deep into the playbook for that one.
And you know what? That's I love that play call. It's a not quite desperation, but I think it's accurate and I think appropriate for where you're at. Under 3 minutes, 15 seconds left in the third quarter. You're down 2 touchdowns to a team that's playing with all sorts of energy. I love that play call. Tough play. Just off the fingertips of Senator Brown. Otherwise, that's a first down and possibly more.
Brown, Cummings, Jennings tried for Brown again. The last part didn't work. They were 75% there. Snap, handoff, throw. Just didn't work. Fourth down. 4th and 14. Brown, and here's a whistle. Delay game, didn't get off in time.
Five-yard penalty, and it just that's been the story of this drive. I don't know what the number of penalty yardage was before this series, but I'm willing to bet it was probably somewhere around, it had to have been 15-yard penalties between the two teams total.
Instead of 4th and 14, it's 4th and 19.
This will be a very interesting box score to read because you'll see that penalty number in 90% of it this series right here.
Bullet formation. And they might have gotten New Prairie. They did. They got him off sides. Hard count gets them. They got the hard count.
Back and forth.
Remember, he tried that earlier. It didn't work.
No. And I'll tell you what, that's a good call. That's a good call by the Riley Wildcats. That's usually, I hate to say it being a fan, but that's usually 1 or 2 very, very close to encroachment. We've seen that a few times here at Amzie Miller Field throughout the year.
They get a couple more back. Now 4th and 14 again. Brown with a snap. Here comes the rush and sack down. They get the sack.
Fitting into a quirky, weird, very intense series by both teams. That's absolutely the defensive answer that Russ Radke was looking for out of his unit.
Loss of 13. It was 4th and 14. New Prairie takes over. Brand new ball game.
Wow.
Riley thought they scored, brought back on a hold, a couple face masks, a couple holds, a couple encroachments, couple. You saw the entire rule book.
We didn't see an illegal substitution. It's the only thing that was missing from that sequence.
Saw the entire rule book.
1st and 10 Cougars. How about that?
Here's Daniel Tyler. Tyler is grabbed by the leg and is yanked down. 21-7 New Prairie. 2:20 to play in the third quarter. Just a crazy, crazy third quarter of play. Penalties, almost touchdowns, sacks. It has been quite the busy third quarter if you're an official or scorekeeper. See what Chase Ketterer can do. New Prairie has already been up once by 3 possessions. Currently a 2-possession game. Ball on their own 35. It's 2nd and 4. Ketterer, wide receiver to his left, sends a man in motion. And Ketterer will take the carry. Short of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and short for Ketterer with under 2:10 to play. Andrew Walkowski has been everywhere, it seems. Walkowski, the leading tackler of this club. And he has been in on Ketterer all night. 3rd and short, 3rd and 2. Same setup, one wide receiver to Ketterer's left. Single coverage. There'll be one up top as well. Single coverage there too. Ketterer gets the snap, and same play, takes it to the middle. Not afraid to get hit, and Ketterer.
Very close with forward progress on that one.
Yeah. A Wildcats player is down in the field. It'll be a first down. And while a Wildcats player is attended to after the tackle of Ketterer, we'll take a break. A minute and a half to play in the third quarter. 21-7 New Prairie on CBM, Cougar Broadcast Media.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So, where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer: high school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
(21-7) with 1:30 left in the third quarter. Updating you scores elsewhere in northern Indiana and in the IHSAA. One score update at Clay Field in South Bend. Winless John Glenn and winless South Bend Clay, the Falcons all over the Colonials. 44-0 is the score in the third quarter. So it looks like Glenn will be the first one to reach one win on the season. Concord still leads Northridge in the fourth quarter, 31-21. And Mishawaka pulling away from Mishawaka Marion, 35-17. That is a final out of Mishawaka Marion.
Thanks, Matt. Minute 23 to play in the third quarter. 21-7, first and 10 for the Cougars and Chase Ketterer.
Okay, take it
who
to
gets the snap, and
one,
Ketterer fake
score
handoff towards the middle, trying for Skornog. And Ketterer still on his feet after the injury timeout.
The trick.
Jalen Cummings on the tackle. Cummings, unfortunate for him, plays on both sides of the ball and almost had his second touchdown of the game. Had to be called back for a hold. Then we saw a couple of face masks, a couple of encroachments, and ultimately ended with a sack of the last drive of Riley. Under 40 seconds in the third quarter. 2nd and 5, Ketterer from the shotgun. Ketterer with a block to his right, and Ketterer is going to punch through for a first down. Clock stops at 32. Andrew Walkowski again with the tackle. Leading tackler of this team. Clock now ticking again. 25 seconds to play in the third. Ball just ahead of midfield. Into Wildcats territory. And with 13 seconds on the play clock, Ketterer is going to let this one go down. 2-1, and the third quarter is over. 21-7. Chase Ketterer will just have to flip around just a little bit. Ball's at midfield. We're back for the fourth quarter next. Cougars lead by 2 possessions on CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
Let's go, let's go!
I touched it. I touched the ball before it went out, Coach.
Come on, Alex. The ref did not call that.
You gotta be kidding me, Alex.
It's the championship game. Talk to him, Coach.
I touched it. It's their ball.
Don't foul them when they inbound. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Nice going, Alex. Sorry, Coach.
Alex. Good call.
Sportsmanship. Pass it on.
Brett.
Fourth quarter action from Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School. Brendan King alongside Matt Florian. Glad to have you with us. For Cougars football, they lead 21-7 at the start of the fourth quarter. Chase Ketterer barely had the flip around. The ball was at midfield, so the two teams just took a 180. And Ketterer sets up in the shotgun. 1st and 10, fresh 12 minutes on the clock. A handoff to Ian Skornog.
There we go.
Skornog, we'll see ya. 3-possession game once again.
Wow. What a start to the fourth quarter here at MC. I'll tell you what, wind out of the sails on the far sideline and a huge, it almost feels like the entire stadium just needed that Yahoo moment after the back and forth of that last drive. Incredible start.
With Chris Mays being out, the guy that carried for 931 rushing yards to start this year in 7 games, it was up to Daniel Tyler and Ian Scornog to replace him. Both of them have touchdowns. Ian Scornog only had 22 carries coming into this game. Now, he's the backup quarterback. Don't forget about that. As Scornog, well over a 50-yard run, put him over 150 rushing yards this year as the extra point is up. And it is good, 28-7. 3-possession game once again. And like you said, it's kind of a breath of fresh air for everybody on this New Prairie sideline.
I think New Prairie sideline, this is exactly, we were hoping for it. We saw the big stop. We saw another big stop. We saw the penalties. It was just back and forth down on this, north end of the field, or I'm sorry, the east end of Amzie Miller Field. You got to think on the other side, that's exactly the wrong thing. I mean, they were doing very well in the third quarter, containing, hanging on to the ball. They're going to get it back, and now you got to think about it's still, there's just 9 seconds into the fourth quarter. Riley's got to think about time management, because you think about how much time they took off the clock last time and got 0 points for it.
Wildcats have been so close yet so far. They had a touchdown taken away in the third quarter because of a holding call. That kind of killed that ultimate drive. That ended with a sack of Senator Brown. Luke Ackerson will kick off. Ackerson has been busy kicking off for the Cougars today. 11:51 to play in the fourth quarter, 28-7. Cougars lead. Ackerson, a solid kick, retrieved by Cummings, now into the hands of Jennings. They said, here you go, and Jennings, this is playing off pretty well. Jalen Jennings, past midfield. Jennings to the 20, to the 10. There is no flag down, and a kick return for Jalen Jennings.
Remember what I said about the energy on this side? The energy is bouncing back and forth. What a great game this is turning into for both teams. I mean, a little bit more consistency. Both teams want it, but what an answer by Riley. Energy is back in. You got to know the defense is going to be tired. They're going to be back out there very quick, but you know what? They're going to be that much closer to the New Prairie Cougars.
Jalen Jennings just continues to have a solid year. It's now 28-13. They'll go for the extra point. And again, Matt, if a couple passes and a couple penalties go their way, this is a one-possession game rather than a two-possession game right now. As a late sub, here comes the lineman. Here's the snap, and it is going to be blocked. Kick is blocked.
Wow. And I'll tell you what, that's just one quick thing about the officiating. The crew's been pretty well put together. That was an early whistle. That block, that was a live ball. And the whistle, especially at this level, they don't want anyone injured on plays like that. It was a quick whistle almost as soon as it was connected. It would be very interesting to see what would have happened if that had not been whistled dead. And how important is that going to be, the way this game has been going? How important is that missed PAT going to be?
Very within reach if you're the Wildcats. 11:37 to play in the fourth quarter. If you are Jarvis Edison, you need a quick possession right now for the Cougars. That way you can get your crew back on offense. It is Chase Ketterer's job to make that not happen. Riley will kick off from the 40. Back to receive for the Cougars are Mike Klemzak and Daniel Tyler. Haven't seen Klemzak a ton tonight. Connor Kingston kicking off. It's a squib, fell on top of by the Cougars. The ball only went to about the 45. Trucking into each other were a pair of New Prairie and Riley players. Evan Ferg ended up coming down with the kickoff. It, again, only went to about the 45. That's where the Cougars will start this drive. So they tried for a little trickery squib. It didn't work.
That's the official term for that. If you're the receiving team, is it's a oh no moment. It's one of those. You breathe a sigh of relief. Yeah, so you breathe a sigh of relief that it ended that well, because that could have been very interesting.
11:35 to play in the fourth quarter. Cougars up 28-13 after the missed extra point by Riley, and a run up the middle. And Skornog, who just scored. Skornog is second rushing TD this year. Skornog is also thrown for a touchdown as he is the backup quarterback. No need for Skornog under center tonight. It has been all Chase Ketterer, who has a pair of rushing touchdowns. 2nd and 7. A minute taken off the clock here in the fourth quarter. Ketterer to his right, now reaching towards the middle. Ketterer is short of the first down by about 2 yards.
And this is what we're going to see, I presume, for most of the fourth quarter. As long as New Prairie's got the ball, Russ Radke's going to try and bleed that clock as much as possible. This is the way that Coach Russ wants to bleed the clock, not the way that Riley was doing it towards the end of the third quarter.
Not with the penalties?
Not with penalties, not with back and forth, up and down the red zone, no, sir.
They took about 30 seconds off the clock there. 10:30 to play. 28-13, it's 3rd and 3 as the New Prairie Cougars lead. Same play, same result, this time a first down. Ketterer is past the 40.
And you got to think, I mean, it's still early in the game, and we just saw from Riley and from New Prairie, it's a lot closer than the scoreboard would indicate at this stage of the game. You got to think about maybe resting or being very careful. I know Chase Ketterer wants to compete, and I know he wants to get those first down yardage, but he's got to be very careful when he's carrying the defensive line there.
That run took another 30 off the clock. 10 to play. Ketterer fakes a handoff. Wants to go in the air. Has a man. Tyler dropped it. Daniel Tyler almost brought it down. Oh, so close.
Very close. That's almost, it's shades of the very first long ball that Riley threw earlier in this game, way back in the first quarter. Just a couple steps more, and he'd have had that untouched to the end zone.
They were looking for Jennings on that particular throw. 9:53 to play in the fourth quarter. Still only 2nd and 10. Probably they'll run it, I would imagine.
Nice, easy
Get the
run.
clock back going.
Either a jet sweep like we've seen, or maybe try and power it up the middle. Again, that offensive line earning its keep.
It'll be a handoff to Skornog. Skornog to his left, brought down in the backfield.
Jalen Jennings again. How often we've been calling his number,
been all
number
over
11 for the Wildcats.
All over.
Loss of 3. Good penetration by that Riley front right after I said good things about the New Prairie offensive line. Great job by Jennings wrapping up.
Ketterer's by himself. Tyler in motion left to right. Tyler doesn't get the handoff. Ketterer wants to throw. It's complete. Cade Boniface. Offensively, defensively, he's been the man.
He is all over the place. He's rapidly becoming the Cougar of the game for this particular contest. Just another comment, Jalen Jennings was right there with the tackle that time as well. That gives you a little bit of the versatility of this Riley defense. They're just trying everything to try and keep New Prairie contained under 9 minutes left in the ball game.
Boniface's second catch. He had a big one earlier on in the first half. Handoff right. Skornog. Skornog looking for his second touchdown, but tackled before he gets there at the 10. Just to get back to Cade Boniface. Now 8 catches on the year for well over 200 yards.
Another Wildcat down on the near sideline here. We will get a number.
Looks like a cramp.
And you know what?
We
You gotta feel for the defense for this Riley Wildcats team. They've been working as much as they can against a very stout New Prairie offensive unit, but you got to figure they're getting gassed out. As much as they've been on the field this game.
Well, you got to understand who that is. That's Kobe Luga, who has ran like a madman in the second half. He got an opportunity from his coach, Jarvis Edison. Did not take a snap in the first half, but was a key factor in that third quarter big drive that resulted in a finishing sack. But Luga, playing on both sides of the ball, went down with a cramp. He's now back to the sideline. 2nd and 1, 8:25 to play in the fourth quarter, 28-13 Cougars. Fake handoff to Skornog, and Ketterer is not tackled but whistled down.
Very close to the original line of scrimmage, but don't know if he got anything there.
Clock continues to tick, under 8 minutes.
No gain on the play. 3rd down and 1 from the 10-yard line.
3rd and 1, ball on the 10. Shotgun featuring the quarterbacks. It's Ketterer and Skornog. No wide receivers. Ketterer looking right. Ketterer near sideline, back towards the middle, diving and into the end zone. 3rd rushing touchdown of the night. Chase Ketterer knew he needed a big game. He has shown up. Has now 13 rushing touchdowns this year. That's one short of the team lead, held by the injured Chris Mays.
Absolutely dominant athlete for the New Prairie offensive unit this whole game. I mean, in terms of leadership, I mean, in terms of play calling, obviously is the quarterback, but just being able to take the team, put them on his shoulders, and carry them into the end zone like that. Great job, and great blocks, too. Oh, big holes opened up by that New Prairie offensive line. Can't say enough about that front five for the Cougars.
Szymanski on for the extra point, up and good, 35-13. Every time Riley thinks they may have some life,
just that much closer. I mean, it's a back and forth game. It's not at all a clean game that Riley would have wanted coming into this very tough Amzie Miller Field. It's like you said, it's been Jekyll and Hyde for the Wildcats all game. You got to feel.
Well, it's just every time they get a sign of life, New Prairie responds with something, whether it's the 3 rushing touchdowns of Chase Ketterer, whether it's a big-time touchdown from Daniel Tyler, also has an interception. Even the backup quarterback, Ian Skornog, backup running back, is in there. So everybody has played a part, and that's what Russ Radke knew needed to happen in the absence of Chris Mays.
And I think this is really this is what you want going into the sectional season. You want to be able to say, all right, if we lose one or if we're down a player or if we have some problems at this position or that, being able to know I can call on Dan Tyler, I can call on Cade Boniface, I can call on these different players, and they can make they're not going to just patch holes. They will perform. And that's a huge, huge asset for Coach Russ Radke in the Week 8 here in Northern Indiana football.
Ackerson will kick off. Jennings and Cummings back. Ackerson's kick is a bullet. All the way back to the 12. Retrieved by Cummings and immediately tackled. Only got to about the 20. Maybe an 8-yard reception. Well, Jarvis Edison has 7:32 to work some magic. They're down 35-13. Just have not been able to get into that groove that Chase Ketterer has been able to on the ground. Senator Brown has had a couple good moments, but just has not broken through for those big-time plays consistently. They have squeaked through for a couple big throws, but just have not been able to march downfield to the efficiency they have wanted to. Handoff up the middle, Cummings. And Cummings skips along for 3 or 4. Taylor Adams tackles him. Clock ticks, 7:15 to play. 2nd and 6, so a 4-yard carry for Jalen Cummings. As much as Senator Brown wants to air it out here, the New Prairie defense has been up to the task of covering the passes. Single coverage on everybody. Brown airs it out, looking deep. It is long, intended for Marleo Burton.
Another one of those long, deep passes. I mean, again, Senator Brown is doing everything he can in the pocket to try and extend any chances he can for his Wildcat teammates. But just a couple of steps more, and suddenly it's a closer game than 3 or 4 touchdowns right now.
35-13, 6:53 to play. Brown passes. Throw off, complete to Jennings. Did he get a foot in? No. Jennings did not get the foot in.
Very close call. Would have been very interesting to see the shot from the other side or a sideline.
So pass is incomplete, 4th and 6. And if they do not get this first down, that's pretty much the ball game, Matt.
Under 7 minutes, and this New Prairie offense knows how to chew up clock.
Yep. They take about 30 seconds every play. This is a must first down for Senator Brown. They will punt. Chris White on the punt, so the punt goes all the way back down to the 30 or so. So they did punt. 6:37 left, 35-13. Chase Ketterer takes over, trying to put this away.
And, you know, if I'm Coach Russ Radke, and believe me, there's many people around here who are glad I'm not, but if I'm Coach Russ Radke, I'm going to start subbing in. I'm going to start taking Chase Ketterer out. I'm going to start, you know, it's a close game. Riley is definitely going to be explosive. They're not going to go away. They're not going to quit. But you got to start thinking about protecting and resting your position players. You got to start thinking about Week 9 against a very talented, very tough Elkhart team, and you got to think about the sectional draw, which comes out on Sunday.
As Matt said, Elkhart Central on the 12th. The Wildcats will face John Glenn, who are really putting it on Clay tonight. Is that right?
Absolutely. 44. We'll double-check that. Last check was 44-0. The Falcons all over the Colonials. That was in the third quarter. Both teams in that contest looking for their first win of the 2018 campaign at Clay Field.
Score holds. South Bend Riley drops to 4-4. They'll be 3-3 in Northern Indiana South Conference play. They're in third place in their respective conference. New Prairie would improve to 5-3, a big 5th win. Would get over 500 in conference play at 3-2. And the Northern Indiana North Conference behind both Mishawaka and Penn. And both of those teams have beaten the Cougars this year. Scornog with the carry. Scornog will get the first down.
And that's exactly what New Prairie's going to continue to do. It's, again, eat up the clock.
Well, they take about 30 to 40 seconds off the clock with each running play. Play clock at 20 seconds at the moment. And Ketterer is just waiting on that clock to tick down. He's with Ian Scornog in the backfield. No wide receiver set up. The line is packed. Ketterer with the snap, moving to his left towards the far sideline. Here comes a flag in, and Ketterer makes it to the first down marker. The flag is currently resting on the 46-yard line. Clock stops at 5:12, and a hold is called on the Cougars. So Ketterer got the benefit of the hold. They were penalized.
It's a good showing for New Prairie's team coming back and bouncing back against a tough loss against Penn, but this is going to be something that's going to drive Coach Russ Radke and assistant coach Bill Gum absolutely crazy during practice this week. Penalties that stall the drives.
Couple holds, some face masks, some encroachments. They were guilty of a hard count, offsides. Ketterer, middle run, and Ketterer gets the yards back on the penalty. On the 1st and 18, Ketterer is going to be about 4 or 5 yards short of the first. Terry and Taylor on the tackle. Good to see Taylor back up. He was injured earlier. 2nd and 5. Clock ticks under 4.5, 35-13 New Prairie. No wide receivers, just Ketterer and Scornog. Daniel Tyler getting some rest here, just as you called. Snap to Ketterer. Hands off to Skornog. Solid stiff arm. That's a quarterback stiff arm right there.
That is a quarterback stiff arm. That's absolutely great play there. Right in the middle of the face mask. Good, clean contact, not trying to drag him away or down with the face mask there. Great, hard running football.
They get the first. You get a couple quarterbacks in the backfield, you get some pretty smart reads. Two very smart players back there.
And, you know, it's I'll finish the comment about Chase Ketterer staying in the game after this next play.
3:40 to play, 1st and 10. Skornog in motion. Fake handoff. Here's Ketterer towards the middle. He is met by a Wildcat. He skips him. And Ketterer ahead for 5 yards.
Chase Ketterer is going to try and stay in this game just about as long as he can. You know, if again, I say, if you're the coach, you want to try and rest your position players. You want to try and keep the health up for as many of the skill players as possible. But Chase Ketterer, the junior, is an absolute competitor. He's an athlete. He wants to stay in, and he's really the heart and soul of this New Prairie offensive unit.
Ketterer with 159 yards just in the first half puts his season total approaching 900 on the ground. Skornog in motion, left to right, gets the handoff. Skornog is hit and tackled before the first down. It'll be 3rd down with 2:50 to play for the Cougars. Just a gain of 1 for Skornog after a lot of running on the jet sweep. Clock continues to tick. We're at 2.5. New Prairie is going to win their 5th game. Now over 500 in conference play, going into a big game against Elkhart Central next week. Skornog in motion. Fake handoff, Ketterer. And here's Chase. He is met before the first down marker. Andrew Lonkowski actually ended up underneath Chase Ketterer. And a nice show of sportsmanship as Ketterer helped up the linebacker.
They've been meeting at the field as competitors over and over again throughout this game. Sportsmanship is always great to see, especially, I mean, late in the game, under 2 minutes, but still, great show by both of those young men.
35-13 New Prairie, minute 40 to play in the game. Victory formation. And they're going to let the clock or play clock tick down. Timeout down. Here's Matt Florian with a score update.
These are finals across Northern Indiana in the IHSAA. Jimtown defeats Bremen 35-28. Mishawaka beats Mishawaka-Marion 35-17 at Marion this evening. Concord beats Northridge 31-21. Eastside beats Central Noble 18-14. Still in progress, Penn. I'll have to get back to that. I thought I saw a Penn score. We'll keep an eye on that. Elkhart Memorial beat Wawasee 45-32. John Glenn, we have not had a score update, but again, last time we checked in the 3rd quarter, Glenn led Clay 44-0 at South Bend Clay. Culver Academy leads 14-11 over South Bend St. Joseph at Father Bly Field. And another final, South Bend Adams defeats South Bend Washington 28-7. And there's the final I was looking for. Penn defeats Elkhart Central 20-17. Those are 2 tough games, and you got to figure New Prairie's going to have a handful next week.
Penn stays on top of the Northern Indiana North Conference. 4th and 2, minute and a half to play. Ketterer looking for 2 yards. He's got that and more. Ketterer is finally tackled at the 25. So Penn stays on top. Mishawaka was winning, so they're going to stay right there as well. So New Prairie will stick right at 3rd place in the Northern Indiana North Conference, but they get a game above 500 with this eventual win. They'll be 3-2 in conference play, 5-3 overall. And again, Penn and Mishawaka, no slouches up top. This is a tough conference of football.
each of the teams at the top of the NIC has got one of the toughest schedules because they all play each other. I think, I saw the Sangren. There is not a single team in the top 3 of both of that division. Not a single team has got a Sangren a schedule ranking of less than 40 in the state of Indiana.
Under 60. There's a knee from Ketterer. We'll see another one, and that'll be game over. So a 35-13 win tonight for the New Prairie Cougars. And they take another knee, and that will be the ball game, folks. 35-13 the final. The clock will tick down under 20 seconds. We'll have handshakes as both teams will line up at the 50. And a big, big-time win for the New Prairie Cougars. We'll be back to wrap it up as Matt Flory and I will be back in a moment. Again, a 35-13 victory tonight in Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School. You're listening to CBM Cougar Broadcast Media.
The debate about sports specialization by high school athletes continues. Some argue that high school athletes who play one sport all year long have a better chance of landing a lucrative pro contract. But that's simply not true. In fact, 30 of the 32 first-round picks in last year's NFL draft played more than one sport in high school. Of the 32 players drafted, 22 also participated in high school track and field. 19 also played basketball. Some also played baseball and lacrosse. What's the path to success for high school athletes here in Indiana, no matter what their goals might be? Study hard. Always do your best. And if you can, play more than one sport in high school. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Sharing. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
35-13 the final. Here from Amzie Miller Field at New Prairie High School tonight. Welcome back, everybody. On CBM Cougar Broadcast Media, Brendan King alongside Matt Florian. 35-13. It was 21-0 at halftime. You're missing your key runner in Chris Mays, a guy that ran for 931 yards in the first 7 games of this season. Chase Ketter, what does he respond with? 3 touchdowns. Daniel Tyler, a touchdown and an interception. Ian Skornog, a touchdown, and a really nice defensive effort, especially on that key drive in the third quarter. Although you take a couple penalties there, you take a face mask, you take an encroachment, you shut them down with the sack, you get Senator Brown to the ground. All in all, that third quarter effort, I think, is what won them the game.
The third quarter was absolutely electric. I mean, on both sides. Riley, and you got to feel for that team because to be down, to see, to see what should have been a touchdown, what ought to have been a touchdown, and then penalty, face mask, encroachment, penalty. It was just a wild third quarter play. That third quarter is going to define the next 2 games for New Prairie. They're going to take so much momentum from this game and from that quarter into the game next week against Elkhart Central right here at Amzie Miller Field. Senior night, it's going to be an electric atmosphere. The sectional draw comes out on Sunday from the IHSAA, and that's how the season, the regular season, is going to wrap up for New Prairie based on the energy from that third quarter of play.
That touchdown that Matt was alluding to in the third quarter, Jalen Cummings was vouching for his second touchdown of the game. Cummings ended up having a rushing touchdown that came back in the first half. But a kick return by Jalen Jennings made it interesting. It was kind of an interesting play because Cummings and Jennings set up on both sides of a kick return, far side and near side. And Cummings actually fielded the kick. And then Jalen Jennings took it on kind of a scoop pass, and Jennings ran it into the end zone, no flags, and a 35-13 final tonight. Chase Ketterer, unbelievable.
Yeah, Chase Ketterer, Cade Boniface, and Dan Tyler, those are the 3 keys to a New Prairie victory right now. Chase Ketterer, the play caller, getting it done with his legs 3 times on the ground for a touchdown. Cade Boniface, a huge momentum-changing interception. That really set the tone in the first quarter for the defensive unit for New Prairie, and then just continuing on both sides of the ball. Dan Tyler, absolutely huge, stepping up into the shoes of Chris Mays. Now, obviously, Chris will be back in the rotation, but I think this is a great way for Dan Tyler to say there are options. We can spread the field out. We can spread the love up on the offense and get some other players some other touches.
Well, you talked about how Mays is going to be back, but hopefully next week. That's the goal, I think, for this club, is that you put 35 points on a really good South Bend Riley team that was 4-3, 3-2 in conference. You put 35 points on a team like this. You got Elkhart Central next week in a key matchup. You put 35 points with this type of setup without Mays. How dangerous can they be going into the final week, getting him back?
Absolutely lethal. I mean, this is something Elkhart Central, and credit to them, they hung in there with the Penn team that was all that New Prairie could handle this week. Again, they fell to Penn earlier today. 20-17 was the final score at Elkhart Central. They are no slouch. They are a team packed with talent, and they are going to definitely have their hands full against this New Prairie team that suddenly has a huge spark coming out of this game.
Well, Matt Florian, been a lot of fun, my man. Thanks
Anytime.
for having me back.
Hey, it's great to
do
share.
A great job here with CBM and Cougar Broadcast Media. Thanks to all the students that are here with us today helping out. Obviously, did a great job.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll take whatever I can get. Our student staff today was Sean Kleppinger, who also did some of the great pregame interviews. He's just a huge help with us. Sophomore this year, outstanding. Can't wait to see what he does in the next few years. Gabe Hodem is one of our juniors. He's running the stack and also running some of our sidelines. Those highlights we're building into a really great melt for the end of the season. And then our freshman, Sarah Stakowski, absolutely wonderful here on the stack, working the cameras and just making sure that I love this group and I love these students because freshmen, sophomore, juniors, every single one of them is leaders. Can't wait to see them next week for senior night. It's going to be a great day, and hey, thank you for joining us. Great to have an actual professional in the booth with me.
So for one final time from Amzie Miller Field, New Prairie High School, for our entire crew, my broadcast partner Matt Florian, this is Brendan King, hoping you enjoyed the broadcast. We know that you enjoyed the outcome. One final time, New Prairie 35, South Bend Riley 13. We'll catch you all next week. Elkhart Central, New Prairie, right here for senior night. So long, everybody.
CBM is brought to you by New Prairie Superintendent Dr. Paul White, High School Principal, Mrs. Jen Sass, New Prairie Athletic Director, Mr. Ben Bachman, and by the parents and families of the New Prairie United School Corporation. Cougar Broadcast Media, supporting the mission and students of the New Prairie schools.